we're going to dive into the legislative session. We're going to dive into the upcoming elections. We are going to dive into the Capitol Lakes, not literally, and probably a lot more on the recent coastal lawsuit ruling as well, because there's still plenty to unpack. So let's not waste any time at all. Let's get into it. Top stories and trending. A bill that could force TOPS students to repay their scholarship money to the state if they fail to maintain their eligibility is set to be debated in the House of Representatives today. Under the House Bill 385, authored by Representative Dennis Bamberg from Bossier City, students could lose eligibility for the program with poor grades or by leaving school and then be subject to having to pay the scholarship money back. Louisiana Attorney General Liz Murrill has filed a motion in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit seeking to halt a Biden-era rule that removed the longstanding in-person dispensing requirement for the abortion drug mifepristone. The motion asks the court to issue a stay or injunction pending appeal as the legal challenge moves forward. Grabbing this one from the Daily Report, a proposed commercial development in North Baton Rouge, anchored by a grocery store, is headed to the Planning Commission for approval. The project, was headed to the Planning Commission for approval. I need to get a follow-up on that. The project's expected to be anchored by a 42,000 square foot Harvest Fresh grocery store with an additional 31,600 square feet of commercial space planned. The development, with an estimated total investment of more than $50 million, is part of the Howell Place mixed-use project. Mayor President Sid Edwards said several downtown streets will be closed overnight towards the end of this week, April 23rd to 24th, as Amazon MGM Studios films driving sequences for its feature thriller Allie Clark, which stars Viola Davis. Officials said the production company is paying for all the expenses associated with Baton Rouge Police, Baton Rouge Fire, and other aspects of its closures. Katie Pryor with Baton Rouge Film Commission said the Allie Clark production has an estimated budget of about $50 million. $18 million of that salary to Louisiana. That's Louisiana salaries right there. Police will conduct a training exercise near Pierre Part Elementary School today that will include simulated gunfire. The Assumption Parish Sheriff's Office says the exercise will take place at the Pierre Part Volunteer Fire Department starting at 8 a.m., ending around 4 p.m. Multiple rounds of simulated gunfire will be heard throughout the day. No live ammunition will be used.
Virginia's congressional map may look very different very soon. A special election is being held today to see if they want to let their General Assembly adopt new districts.
Now, as I understand it, this would make everything Democrat.
Yep, that's what I'm reading online too. And Democrats could gain up to 4 additional seats, which could help determine control of Congress.
That would.
Bottom line, this is huge.
Completely swing Congress.
Yeah, this is huge. This is a make or break right here.
It's also stupid, but we don't need to dive into that right now.
Well, 3 idiots from Los Angeles who thought they could use a bear costume to fool an insurance company will be going to jail soon. They pleaded no contest to fraud. One of them put on the bear suit and acted like they were tearing into luxury cars to claim the insurance money. I cannot.
You remember Super Troopers?
Yes.
Yeah.
God.
I think in the criminal justice system, there should be points for creativity.
Right.
I think it should be taken off your sentence because, like, we have a rule in the house. Like, if the kids get in trouble for like saying something, if they say something in school, they backtalk, whatever, I can't punish them if I laugh. Now, we had that rule. We had to kind of grow out of that.
I love it.
Well, we had to kind of grow out of it because it turns out my kids are funny. So that's dangerous.
Right.
But we tried to implement that rule. It's like, if I laugh, I can't punish you. Guys put on a bear costume to go rummage through cars.
That's what I'm saying. So the
3 of them.
The judge, whoever is going to be judge over this case, has to at least play into this. This is just, it's crazy. Michael opens on Friday. I am so excited about this, Brian. The Jackson family was on hand in Los Angeles for the premiere. I'm a huge Michael fan. Huge.
Same.
But I'm going to tell you, this movie is all scripted by the family. It had to go through numerous reshoots. The date for the premiere got pushed back numerous times. It's not going to be a straight biopic about his life because they're not going to. So bottom line, his life story will end with the bad era, which is late 80s, early 90s.
Oh, wow.
So
really?
they're not going to go into the full sexual controversies because the family said, nope, we're not going down that rabbit hole.
Wow.
I know.
Okay, does that set up for a sequel, though? I mean, can we have 2 biopics about one Michael?
I would hope so. Would Jafar play it again? Would Jafar play Michael again? I mean, it's just, if you're going to give me a biopic about somebody's life, I want the good, I want the bad, I want the ugly.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But it's also important to remember that, and I'm not taking a stance one way or another. I'm just stating what is fact. He was never convicted of anything. No. And it's all he said, she said at this point. Yeah. And a lot of the stories have changed as time has worn on, and I don't know what's what, so I'm not going to pretend to know what's what. I just know that musically, I don't think there will ever be another.
So you got to cover all eras.
Right.
Correct. And that's what I was going to hope, because yes, they covered the whole Pepsi commercial. I think they ended with the bad era, but they don't go into the rise and fall, the fall of Michael. And that's what I would want to see.
I mean, if you end with the bad era, first of all, you're missing a lot of good music. You're missing Remember the Time.
Do you cover his death at all? I mean, I would think they would.
You cover like becoming sort of semi-reclusive. Do you cover the skin condition even?
Yeah, that's what I'm curious
things
about.
Are things he had to battle with, so they all play into the story.
Yep.
I mean, you're basically just ending it after the Pepsi commercial.
That's what, because everything I read online says the family had to keep reshooting to get it right, and kept pushing things back.
That's disappointing. Now I don't know if I want to go. Now I think I'll just wait.
I know. And I really have been looking forward to this movie, but that's what I'm saying. But for the family to do all these reshoots and have a hand in the script, they were still in hand in Los Angeles for the premiere.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, I know, but still.
Big night out.
I know, but still, it's like, all right, family, you get what you want. A movie completely directed by you.
Yeah, but they haven't seen it in its finished product yet.
Right. That's true. That's true.
Plus, you got to take full advantage of having the media spotlight.
Very true. Very true. But all in all, I'm looking forward to seeing Jafar, because he had to really.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The bad guy from Aladdin?
Yeah. No, not Jafar. Jafar is Michael Jackson's nephew, and he plays Michael in this role.
Oh, okay.
And I saw so many documentaries about him having to learn, because he didn't know how to moonwalk and nothing, and he was up for the challenge. And he plays a really good Michael in the film. I'm getting excited.
I mean, if you want the best Michael when it comes to the dancing, it's Carlton.
Oh, yes.
Carlton.
Yes.
I don't remember. Alfonso Ribeiro.
Yep.
He's like hands down. In fact, he was him in one of the commercials.
I remember.
In a Pepsi commercial.
So we shall see.
Oh. All right. Before we break, let me tell you about the folks over at Matherns. Download the Matherns Rewards app, and you can be earning cash towards more groceries every time you shop. On top of that, you get to take advantage of all the great deals that they have to offer every single week. There is a slew of coupons for Food Club items this week, like Food Club rice, Food Club salad dressing, Food Club mayonnaise, Food Club pasta sauce. You name it, you're getting 50 cents to $1 off on each of the items. Add to that, $1.50 off any Springer Mountain Farms products as well. Add to that, $1 off 8-count mini corn on the cob. You get a free bag of Fatty's Jambalaya mix. All these, I know. Well, I've never had Fatty's Jambalaya mix, but I know that Matherns goes out of their way to provide products that are locally based, locally sourced. So I'm going to assume that it's worthwhile. But if you open up the app, just clip the deal. As you go through the deals, just clip the deal. The little thing goes from black to red, and you can unclip it if you don't want it. But it adds it all up for you. When they scan your little barcode when you go to checkout, it adds up all. It is so user-friendly. It adds up all your savings, and then you earn cash towards more groceries on top of that every time you shop, which, by the way, I learned recently the cash towards more groceries thing, the more you spend, the greater percentage it adds up. It is so user-friendly. It's good at all 3 locations of Matherns. Pop it up.
Jafar, flag? No. Should have left harder at that. Oh, so I showed my boys Top Dog Law last night. They were dying. They were like, "Mom, is that?"
But that's the one that you had with the I ain't got no legs. I can't feel my legs. You think I give up about money? I don't think it's online, unless you have the media monitor thing.
Another quality Top Dog Law. Let's hear it.
No, it's the one where he's speeding and it's raining and the car flips over and he kills two people.
Top Dog Law, Crouere, Lucky John, the Boys Town.
We may not know if the man behind the ad lives right here in Charlotte. Crouere introduces you to the voice that some recognize around the country. You hear it.
Okay, get on with this.
We have a tailgate party Sunday. Just about.
All right, that's just gonna be on loop. That's crazy. It's crazy.
15 seconds, how hot dog can get $1 on your case. Whether your case is a slip of
Top Dog Law, y'all. Morning, Alan.
.618 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Ooh, we got to fly, y'all. We ran a little bit long in that opening segment. LSU baseball, of course, swept 2 straight weekends. Head coach Jay Johnson talking about how his philosophy is going to undergo some changes in the very near future. Cut 16.
Does that adjust what we do from a strength and conditioning standpoint? Does it adjust with what we do with some players from the summertime? The fall baseball, I mean, it's the West Coast in me. Like, I like to play a lot, and that didn't land as well this year. And maybe it's because of you're playing to the very last day of the season and coming off a championship. I think it's always under construction, and it will be in a big way.
LSU leads the SEC in wild pitches with 59 on the season, which is 21 more than the second most in the conference. Johnson says both the pitchers and catchers have to do a better job of limiting that. 17.
With the pitcher's command tightening up, that number has to go down. That's a big reason why we are where we are. You can look at that on the stat sheet and you can spell trouble or what I'd call low maintenance defense on a positive.
I tell you, one of the things I'm actually liking, though, is, this season's basically, it's going to be a wash, y'all. They mathematically can come back, but this season's likely going to be a wash. What I'm liking is seeing that for most of the fan base, we all understand this is the long haul for Jay Johnson, right? Nobody's like got to fire the coach mentality. When you win 2 out of 3, nobody's going to have a fire the coach mentality, but everybody clearly recognizes what the problems are and knows that, okay, you bagged this season, you get back on the horse for next year. By the way, LSU plays UNO tonight. You'll hear it on Eagle 98.1. Here's the Fox Business Report. All right, y'all, start sounding off. Should you have to pay back the state if you flunk out with, what are you? Hang on. That's your segment away. You're good. So give us your take. Should you have to pay back the state if you flunk out on tops? I know.
I would say you got to pay back a portion. The whole damn thing. Because that gives them incentives for kids that do that.
But it's scholarship. Back to the traffic center, see what we got cooking out there. You know what? If you're in Livingston Parish coming in town on I-12 westbound, you already know. It's going to be super heavy around Range Avenue. It picks back up again. 12 West does pick back up again after you cross the Amite River, heading on into town. You're not going to find any delays after the Amite River until you get past Essen Lane. And then it'll slow down between Essen and the 10-12 merge. I-10 westbound coming in from Livingston Parish. I-10 westbound coming in from Ascension Parish looks great. 10 eastbound coming back across from Port Allen looks good, as does 110. I've been hearing reports throughout the morning about an accident on Airline at nope, sorry, that one's been cleared. Like literally as I looked at my sheet, my page, I got cleared off. There is a brand new crash. It's been moved off the roadway though. Choctaw at Bartlett Street. That's look at traffic from the Talk 107.3 Traffic Center. Should you have to pay the state back if you flunk out on tops? We're going to talk about that in this segment right here. Either over on the Facebook Live, where we're at every single morning, courtesy of the folks at Lake Urchin Care. If you want to sound off, we can take a call or two at 499-1073. I can't imagine a world where you'd break away from your morning routine, but if you can, we're here for you, 499-1073. Should you have to pay back the state if you flunk out on tops? We're going to talk about that in just a quick second. I need to remind you about Guarantee Health Solutions. GuaranteeHealth.com is the website. Guarantee Health is a new way of growing, scaling, and branding your medical business, your medical practice. Whether you're talking about just an urgent care, whether you're talking about primary care, specialty care. Guarantee Health Solutions has a 4-pillar process that starts with making sure you are taking care of your patients first. And we're talking about on a hospitality level that you would normally equate to some of the best hotels around. This is a system that was born from experience and has grown from there. If you've ever been through the battle with a relative who has taken on, a life-challenging, life-threatening, or sometimes even life-taking illness, sometimes it can get cold. Sometimes it can feel removed. Sometimes it feels way too transactional when you need a little love. That's what Guarantee Health Solutions does differently, or at least that's where they start the process. Learn more at guaranteehealth.com. So we touched on it in Top Stories and Trending, and we're going to dive into it right here for just a quick second. A bill that could force top students to repay their scholarship money to the state if they fail to maintain their eligibility is set to be debated in the House of Representatives today. Under House Bill 385, authored by Representative Dennis Bamberg from Bossier City, students could lose eligibility for the program with poor grades or by leaving school. Quote, anybody who fails out or loses their scholarship, they're going to have a repayment to the state for the funds that they have used in scholarship money unless they enroll in a high-wage, high-need curriculum at a Louisiana community and technical college system or have a career in technical school, Bamberg said. So there's your out, right? If you flunk out, there's your out, is to say, okay, now I'm going to go into this, welding program, or now I'm going to go into this, get a real trade. A number of LSU students spoke with their news partners at WBRZ, said they have concerns about the bill. One of the quotes that they use here is, I think that bill sounds absolutely ridiculous. Scholarships are not loans. Scholarships are rewards. I myself have pretty bad anxiety when it comes to my grades. So thinking with the fact that if I do slightly poorly, I'll have to pay back money that I've gotten from scholarships, I would be horrified. That was from an LSU student. They quoted the name Blake Sampson. Okay, no, Blake. They're not talking about doing slightly poorly. They're talking about flunking out. All right. And I understand anxiety. Sure. Absolutely. But at the same time, though, life is going to be full of challenges that you have to overcome. But I want to rewind back to the beginning of that quote. It's not a loan. It's a scholarship. I don't know how to, and it's a top scholarship. If you have any other scholarship in the world, you don't have to pay it back for poor performance. You can lose said scholarship, yes, but it's not a front-ended or it's not a forgivable loan. It is a reward. So basically, if you're Representative Dennis Bamberg, who we need to get on the show, by the way, if this bill survives and moves over to the Senate side, we will definitely corral him. Probably going to corral him either way. But if you're going to debate this, you have to change the nature of what TOPS is. And it would stop being the Taylor Opportunity, what's the P stand for, scholarship. Like, it's no longer a scholarship at that point. It then becomes a forgivable loan, a loan that is forgiven on the day that you graduate. Over on the Facebook Live, you know what? Here's it. Carol has a pretty decent suggestion over on Facebook Live. It says subsidize all higher education, but make 3.0 GPA, high school GPA, a requirement to enter. Not necessarily hating on that. I should, because I didn't have a 3.0 going into college. Surprise, surprise. High ACT score, low GPA. Imagine that. But that's one I'd be willing to engage with. That's one I'd be willing to entertain. Is Kimberly says, don't call it a scholarship then. Totally down with that. Totally down with that. Because at that point, it would not be a scholarship. It would be, by definition, a forgivable loan. I will say this, though. Oh, what's Elizabeth say over here? Elizabeth says on Facebook, what's the current student dropout rate at LSU? Question mark. All students? Question mark. Top students? Question mark. What's the current number of top students? We'd have to research and get all that. And I'm sure we could get all that. I don't know that the dropout rate for top students is any different than any other students. But you're asking the right questions to be sure. And my thing is we're finally seeing them ask questions. Every year we go round and round with TOPS. Do we fund it more? Do we fund it less? It costs the state an arm and a leg. There's no guarantee you're keeping people on the back end if they're going to go to college on Louisiana's dime and then become a part of Nashville's workforce. What are we getting here? I mean, every year we go round and round with numerous questions on that front. We're going to pay up on Louisiana's dime to pay for a degree that is not applicable in the business world. So whether or not this particular bill by Representative Bamberg is good or effective, I love the fact that they're finally changing the conversation. News is coming up right now on Talk 107.3 FM. Jeff Crouere's next. Let's see. Carol says, if you receive an award for excellence, then fail at excellence, the reward can be taken, but a punishment cannot be delivered. The punisher would incur moral debt. Yes. Yes. Well, it is a scholar. 100% of scholarship is a reward. I can't get past that. Byron says, isn't there a waiver proposed on the payback for life events? I have a feeling that will be so generously applied that few will have to pay it back. Maybe. I don't know. I read the digest of the bill, not the full bill. But I mean, that you're killing the discussion. We're talking about the point of it, not the application of it. TOPS didn't exist when I graduated high school, so I was 2 years before TOPS. Oh. Elizabeth says, follow the money. I don't know what that means in this case. You think big community colleges behind this? The cabal that pushes technical degrees? Byron, I'm known for my ability to kill a conversation. You get what I'm saying, though. You're probably right. But I want to, we got to have the exercise. We got to walk down the path, if you will. Okay. Deborah says transferring over to a tech program is a great idea where the student will be more likely to succeed. Everyone wins. I agree with that too. My whole thing about it is, where's our return on investment? We're educating, we're educating people without a guarantee that they're going to be part of Louisiana's workforce. You may have to call him from your cell phone to get him to call, because he hasn't answered either of my texts.
When we call long distance now. Hey Jeff. Hey, it's Freeland. Talk 107.3. We're having issues dialing out long distance. Can you call me? If I send you the number, can you call me really fast? Okay.
It's in his text. I just texted it to him.
Oh, okay. Check your text. Brian texted you. Okay. Bye-bye.
Oh, good morning, Christy. Welcome in, boo. Yup.
Hey, Jeff, sorry about that. We're going to come to you in like 30 seconds, okay? All right.
Where's Oh, there were stories. They weren't a bunch of pictures of my daughter from over the weekend. There's a story, so it expired.
Oh, no.
Draining a 3. Should have gone and stolen while I could have. .636 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along every Tuesday about this time. We get connected down in New Orleans with Jeff Crouere. He's the host of Ringside Politics. He's on the hotline right now. Jeff, how are you, man?
Hey, good morning, Brian.
Good morning. Welcome aboard. Let's, you know what? Why don't I ask you the same question we were just asking the audience in the last segment there? Dennis Bamberg's got a bill that would say if you flunk out on TOPS, you need to pay the state back for that TOPS. What's your gut takeaway? What do you think what do you think is going to happen there?
You know, that's interesting because I think a lot of people have been trying to tweak TOPS for a long time. And, you know, it's a great program. Both of my kids obviously enjoyed it. And I have one that is working in Louisiana, but I have one that is working in Texas. And I think that happens with a lot of these top graduates. You know, they have their education here and then they can't find a job in Louisiana and have to leave.
Right.
So, but I mean, as far as, you know, having to maintain the grades, that would certainly put a lot of emphasis on doing the right thing to these students that are receiving the TOPS benefits. I mean, I guess that's the, you know, the push to try to make sure that, you know, you're getting the scholarship that you buckle down and study as opposed to, you know, blow it off and then,
Right.
you know, lose the scholarship and then you get kicked out of school because you can't make the grades.
Yeah, I don't know where I'm at on it because it's a scholarship, not a loan, right? It's not if they said TOPS is now a loan that will be forgiven upon graduation, that changes the scope entirely. But I'm with you on the other end when you say you have one kid who stayed in Louisiana, one kid who went to Texas. And we have the jobs available now to be able to do this, to be able to say, let's make TOPS more like a reverse GI Bill. We'll pay for your college up front, but you're going to commit to work in Louisiana for 2 or 3 years afterwards, just to find your way into the workforce.
I've always thought that was a good idea because I mean we basically have funded the the education of the workforce of Texas and Georgia and North Carolina and all these other states where they've moved after getting this great college education here in Louisiana, and you know it's really a benefit for all these other states. So why couldn't we work out some kind of a deal whereby, you know, they have to commit to working X number of years in Louisiana?
Exactly.
So,
exactly. Especially if we wanted to pick particular fields to do that in. I mean, there's another bill out there. John Weibel had a bill up there talking about wanting to narrow down the number of majors that we'd actually pay for, so that they would be applicable in the workforce. And I would start with education. I would start with a brand new crop of great young teachers.
Right. And of course, you know, that's an issue because I was just looking at some numbers the other day of all these parishes across the state that are just losing students. I mean, the numbers are just dropping, and it's really sad to see. But it's just indicative of where we are as a state that we're not keeping up as far as the numbers in these public school systems. But Yeah, no, I think we need to look at everything. I really do. I mean, to make these programs more effective for the state, and I think tops can be tweaked. I really do.
I agree. It's just a matter of what's the tweak going to look like. It's just the bottom line of it is we're 30 years into the program, just about, right? I mean, it started in what, 97? And
right. I mean,
we're 30 years into the program.
Right.
We've done the same thing over and over again. And I don't know that generationally we've made Louisiana a better place as a result of it.
No, I mean, we really haven't, sadly. I mean, I think the intentions are great.
Yeah.
And I think the program is certainly something that's valuable, but in the end, I mean, are we increasing the number of solid college graduates that are staying here in Louisiana and contributing to our economy, contributing to our state? I mean, I think the numbers would show we probably haven't.
Yeah.
And, we've got to do something that's going to build our state long term, and we've got to figure out ways to do that. So how can we turn this around? And, that's what these legislators are hopefully going to be, looking at. We can't just keep doing the same thing over and over and say, oh, we're making progress, because we're really not. And why don't we just benchmark, just see what are these other states doing,
right,
that that's working, and follow their lead.
Well, and the flip side of this, Jeff, and you know this as well as I do, is once it's out there, it becomes an entitlement. And once it becomes an entitlement, it gets that much more difficult to pull back away from. It becomes embedded in it becomes embedded in our our society that, okay, this is just now expected in Louisiana, that tops will always be there.
Right.
Right. When it's not, it was never supposed to be a guarantee or a forever program.
Right. And then the programs get lobbyists, and then you get resistance to change, and it just keeps growing.
Yep.
Right.
100%. We got Jeff Crouere, host of Ringside Politics, on with us. Every Tuesday we check in, see how things are going down in New Orleans. Couldn't help but notice over at NOLA.com, we had a little 100-day report card on Helena Moreno as mayor. What's your 100-day report card for the mayor?
I mean, I give her a good grade. I mean, B+. I mean, I think she's. I mean, I'm obviously not in line with her, ideology, but I mean, she's off to a good start in that she's a breath of fresh air compared to the previous mayor. She is someone that seems to be working hard. She seems to be focused. She's a good communicator. She does a lot of, reporting to the public as to what she's doing. I mean, people think that she's honest, and I mean, she was in such a hole when she started, and it was a very tough position that she's trying to, deal with.
Yeah.
So I think people are impressed with her so far, and I think she's got a very good start. And I think there's a lot of goodwill that people have toward her from all of her years on TV and from her years in political office, where she hasn't been involved in any scandal or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it's a good start.
Okay.
And I think we certainly needed it.
Can I push back a little on the ideology point? Because I mean, if you're talking like Washington, D.C., that's one thing. If you're talking statewide, that's another thing. But when you're talking citywide, does her ideology really matter at this point, when all she's trying to do so far is repave streets and stop the sewage and water from flowing into industrial canal, like stop the boil orders from happening? I mean, there's no ideology when you get back to basics.
Right. I mean, just knowing that it's there. I mean, there'll be certain positions that she'll have that obviously will be something I'm not going to agree with, like, let's just say concerning ICE or something like that, or concerning initiatives that the Trump administration wants to pursue. But I mean, at the local level, hopefully she's just dealing with trying to make services more efficient, trying to make a government work for people where it hasn't for a long time. Yeah, trying to pave the streets that are terrible, and then do something about the Sewage and Water Board and the corruption. And it's less of an issue. And I don't think she's been especially partisan. I think she's trying to be, the mayor for all the people, because she realizes, she got elected with a lot of, the Republican vote in New Orleans, and it's not a big percentage of vote, but people overwhelmingly on the Republican side got behind her, thinking that she was the better of the alternatives. So, yeah, I mean, I think she's kept that in mind, and yeah, I don't think she's been nasty and partisan and very in your face about her ideology. I just know her. I mean, I just know her from years of being in office and interviewing her. I mean, I know where she's coming from, but as a Republican, I have to say, I mean, I think she's off to a good start.
What do the next 100 days look like?
Well, I mean, the next 100 days, I think, are going to be more budget tightening, more, trying to dig down and find out some more of the problems that were left by the previous mayor, trying to get this budget handled and get your spending under control, trying to do more with the city services. And then we're talking about the sewage and water board and the streets and all the different things that need to be accomplished. It'd be great if at some point over the next 100 days, there could be an economic win. We could talk about some kind of new business or new event coming to New Orleans. I mean, that would be really exciting to see, because sadly, I still see a lot of boarded up businesses and folks that are going out of business, whether it's Saks Fifth Avenue or whatever, part of a national trend or what's happening here locally. So I'm sure they're working on that. And, you got good people. Joe Giarrusso is someone who's extremely competent.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think we're going to have some kind of a hopefully major announcement coming up soon. I mean, the state level, we've had so many of these major announcements as far as economic development. I'd like to see one in New Orleans.
New Orleans is due to get one of those, to be sure. Last one before we get you out of here, and we always appreciate you hopping on a Tuesday morning. Last one before we get you out of here is takeaways on the coastal lawsuit ruling from Friday. I know what they are up here, but you're a little bit closer to the game down there. What were the takeaways?
Well, I mean, it was. I thought it was sort of interesting that it was a unanimous decision. That how often do you see that, Brian?
It's rare.
See that very often at all. So, I mean, I know the oil and gas companies were celebrating, and certainly you've got parishes that are trying to see how this is going to impact them, and some are saying it's not going to be the major impact that the media said it was. So we'll see. I mean, you've got a lot of parishes that have been impacted, especially Plaquemines, and this is something that has been. How long has this been going on? Literally decades.
It has, yeah. For some of them, yes. For some of them,
I mean,
42.
Years. I think the number is 42 lawsuits.
42 lawsuits, and if the first one would have stood at $745 million, if the first one would have set a precedent right there, it's untold billions to multiply that out. So just an absolute ridiculous number, to be sure. But
right, and how would that impact our economy long term? How would that impact the ability of these companies to stay in Louisiana?
Yeah, it would be unbelievably detrimental. So, in the meanwhile, you got a show to get to. We always appreciate you hopping on board. He is Jeff Crouere, host of Ringside Politics. We'll talk to you next week, man.
All right, Brian. Take care.
You do the same. Absolutely. 6:48 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. We're going to break at 6:50 for Your Money Now. On the back end of the break, we are going to visit yesterday's press conference. St. George Mayor Dustin Yates and a handful of legislators held a press conference to talk about Amendment Number 2 on your May ballot. This Amendment Number 2 would create the St. George School District. We'll dive into that, like I said, right after we take our break. Before we take our break, though, I want to remind you about Landmark Bank. LandmarkBankLA.com is the website. LandmarkBankLA.com. A community bank full of community bankers since 1897. Literally half of our nation's lifespan, we've had Landmark Bank, and Landmark Bank is there for you in a number of different locations. They're a community bank in a number of different communities. Want a list of those? Visit LandmarkBankLA.com, hit the About Us tab, and you will see the full list of where they are located. And if you're wondering why it's important to have a community bank, well, it's because you have a banker. It's because you have someone you could sit down with and talk about your future, talk about where you're headed, talk about how you need the bank when it comes to raising your family, whether you're talking about borrowing, investing, saving up for retirement, buying your kid's first car, setting up your kid's first checking account, whatever the case might be. Since actually August of 1897, Landmark Bank has been in this business, and they're here for you at landmarkbankla.com. All right, we've got Your Money Now coming your way right now. Right after Your Money Now, we will check traffic. We'll have a quick break, then check traffic, and then dive back into Amendment 2 next. What?
Holidays will be higher this year.
Of course they will. Oh, I've got an interview after the show with Judy Greer. I forgot about that. Not till 9:30.
Okay, so if the kid doesn't have to be rushed to get to school, you can get him.
Oh, that was for today?
Brittany Rose could say on Wednesday, and then she's like, "No, wait, Tuesday." And she was like, So they're going to go to, hold on, they're going to go Tiger first, Eagle second, and 905 for us.
Okay.
That's if he doesn't get, like, if he has to go to school, he has to go to school.
Yeah.
So you may or may not have that interview.
Okay. .655 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. So coming up on May 16th, when we go to the polls, there'll be a Senate race, there will be a House race wherever you're at, and there'll be a Supreme Court race, a state Supreme Court race as well for some folks. We'll talk about that. Actually, we'll talk about that probably tomorrow. But there will be 5 constitutional amendments on your ballot. Constitutional amendment number 2 would create the school district for St. George. There was a press conference yesterday where St. George Mayor and a handful of state legislators got together to kind of dispel some of the myths, talk about the St. George School District from their perspective, as opposed to what the opposition's been putting out. Cut 1, if you would. Here's Mayor Dustin Yates in his opening.
Recently, opponents of the amendment held a press conference. If you watched it, you saw a master class in fear-mongering and deliberate misinformation. They stood in front of the cameras and told you that St. George has no plan. They claimed our district would lack diversity, harm students, and leave us broke. I'm here today to deal in facts, not fear. Let's pick apart their narrative. Perhaps their most out-of-touch statement was when they looked at the camera and said, "Now is not the time." My question to them is simple. If not now, when? How long do you expect parents to wait for a school system that actually works for every child? How many more generations of students have to be left behind while you figure it out? This movement didn't start yesterday. It started nearly 15 years ago. For a decade and a half, we have fought for local control of our schools. Every step of the way, the establishment threw up roadblocks. And every step of the way, we kept our word. We persevered, and we delivered on the promises to the people. We promised a city, and we delivered a city. And now we're going to deliver the community-based school district we've been fighting for since day one.
I want to follow up on that real quick, because I'm almost to the point where I don't even care about the school district. I'm to the point where how many Sisyphean level mountains must this group overcome before getting their school district? They formed a city, y'all. They made an entire city out of nothing because they were told, if you want a school district, you've got to do this. And there's the second part of this that I don't think has been talked about nearly enough. And that's motivation. That is 15 years in the making, almost 15 years in the making. From the first time they wanted a Southeast East Baton Rouge Independent School District till today. The people that were on board with the school district on day one, their children have graduated. In fact, if their children were born on that day, they'd be a year and a half for graduation. 2.5 from graduation. The amount of time that's taken, we have lost an entire K through 12 that's been in the EBR school system, if they haven't gone to other options, an entire K through 12 over this course of time in getting this done. So when Dustin Yates says, if not now, when? Yeah, you gotta ask that question. Do I have time for cut 2 real quick? The myth that the St. George School District would be nothing but a bunch of rich white kids. Cut 2.
They also continue to peddle the tired and false narrative that our district will lack diversity. Let me be straightforward and set the record straight now. The St. George school system, day one, will be a majority-minority district. Those are the demographical facts. Anyone claiming otherwise is intentionally trying to divide our community and our parish.
When things were opened up to questions, someone asked about numbers on that diversity. Cut 4.
The exact numbers are 47% African-American, 31% white, 18% Hispanic, 4% Asian, which makes us a 70% minority district day one.
It's going to be on your May ballot, and we will all be following it, and battle lines are already being drawn. We're going to talk about this at another point. We got a break for news right now. My biggest concern is the whole state gets to vote on it. And how do you ramp up, or how do you get past the apathy? Here comes news. Be that what? Oh yeah.
I didn't realize it was going to be back to birds. Okay, that's great. I would be real curious, and he kind of touched on that, but he didn't really know long-term effects were bases, because bases, but if bases Matera, yes, they have bases Mid-City, which is their own, but bases Mid-City is not St. George.
No, it's a charter. It's an independent charter school.
So they stand alone. They would be in it.
Over the course of time that they've been fighting this, charter schools have become a thing. Charter schools weren't nearly as prevalent 15 years ago.
I didn't even know anything about them when I pulled Colston out of BRCBPA. I just knew I wanted them out for my personal,
No.
And so I was like, shoot, I don't know what a charter school is, but we want to try it. Renee asked you something that I don't know the answer to.
Okay.
Now a check on your drive from the Talk One.
Why does the whole state get to vote on this? Because that's the way the Constitution is written. That's the way the Constitution is written.
Wrong hour.
Yep. .705 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hour 2 coming your way right now. Brian here with you. Bree Lynn producing. Got a busy hour this hour. We're talking with State Representative Mike Echols this hour. We're talking with Chris Meyer from the Baton Rouge Area Foundation this hour. We are starting off the 7 o'clock hour at 53 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge as we broadcast live from the 180 Pros studio. Is it time for your IT to do a 180? Visit 180pros.com. Since it is such a busy hour, we're not going to waste any time at all. Let's get right to it. Top stories and trending. Takes us back to a topic we had last hour. House Bill 385 will be up in front of the full House today. It's by State Representative Dennis Bamberg from Bossier City. It is a bill that could force top students to repay their scholarship money to the state if they fail to maintain their eligibility. Like I said, this will be debated on the full House floor today. Louisiana Attorney General Liz Murrill has filed a motion in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit seeking a halt to a Biden-era rule that removed a longstanding in-person dispensing requirement for the abortion drug mifepristone. The motion asks the court to issue a stay or injunction pending appeal as the legal challenge moves forward. Grabbing this one from the Daily Report, a proposed commercial development in North Baton Rouge anchored by a grocery store. Wow, you know what? I need to get a follow-up on this one. I meant to do that during the last hour. I was in front of the Planning Commission last night. So basically this development would be a 42,000 square foot Harvest Fresh grocery store, have an additional 31,600 square feet of commercial space planned. It's a $50 million investment and part of the Howell Place mixed-use project. Mayor President Sid Edwards said several downtown Baton Rouge streets are going to be closed overnight April 23rd into 24th as Amazon MGM Studios films driving sequences for its feature thriller Allie Clark, which stars Viola Davis. Officials said the production company is paying for all the expenses associated with Baton Rouge Police, Baton Rouge Fire, and other aspects of the closures. When we get to April 23rd, we'll spell out the full list for you of what's being closed. In the meanwhile, I want to tell you, Katie Pryor with the Baton Rouge Film Commission says the Allie Clark production has an estimated budget of about $50 million and a Louisiana payroll of about $18 million. Police will conduct a training exercise near Ehrhardt Elementary School today that will include simulated gunfire. The Assumption Parish Sheriff's Office says the exercise will take place at the Ehrhardt Volunteer Fire Department starting in an hour from right now, 8 a.m., and ending around 4 p.m. Multiple rounds of simulated gunfire will be heard throughout the day. No live ammunition will be used. What you got, Braylon?
Virginia's congressional map may look very different very soon. A special election is being held today to see if they want to let their General Assembly adopt new districts.
Oh, it's going to get stupid. It's
I
going to get so
know.
stupid. Like nationwide. And I don't know how to reel it back in. I don't know how to put the genie back in the bottle. Like,
Democrats say it's a response to Republican-led states like Texas redrawing maps to gain seats. It's just buckle up.
Yeah, I guess it's two wrongs making a right. Is that what that is?
I know. The new map would be used through the 2030 elections.
Mhm.
Holy smokes. Ooh.
Which, I mean, is so you're talking once they put in the new map, you'll have the 2028 election. And then you'll have
Wow.
because
Yep.
the new map won't be in effect this year. I would hope not.
I
Shouldn't
wouldn't
be.
think so.
Which gives you 2028 and 2030, rather than just waiting until 2030 for your next census.
3 idiots from Los Angeles who thought they could use a bear costume to fool an insurance company will be going to jail instead. They pleaded no contest to fraud. One of them put on the bear suit and acted like they were tearing into luxury cars to claim the insurance money. A+ for effort.
I
But
mean,
you loser.
you got to give it to them for the creativity. You've got to give it to them for the creativity to be able to, like, they put on a bear costume.
Do they have a picture of this on the internet?
Oh, you know what? Let me look.
How ridiculous. A+ for effort. But That's
I
just
don't even know what to Google to find this.
insurance fraud, bear
Bear
costume.
costume, California insurance scam. Let's see here. Okay, the associated. So they don't have to be in the costume, but they do have the costume on the ground. And I know. Okay, I think this is where they went wrong. The bear's wearing a shirt.
Yeah, the bear can't wear a shirt.
The-
Bear's nude. Always nude.
The bear's wearing a shirt.
The bear's wearing a shirt.
I mean,
Were they
you might
high?
just put on a hat and have them eat picnic baskets.
Yeah, why not?
Hey, boo boo. What else you got?
All right. Michael opens up on Friday. The Jackson family was on hand in Los Angeles for the premiere. I'm getting so excited about this.
I was excited until you
Yeah.
completely came crashing down last hour.
I
It's-
know.
I mean, it's
So-
going to take us up through bad.
Yeah, the upcoming Jackson biopic went through major reshoots to remove all references to child abuse allegations against him. I remember reading about that. Jafar Jackson will play Michael. He is the nephew of Michael. So it went from full live portrayal to this tightly controlled pre-scandal narrative, and they don't come out. Okay, I did research it. The film doesn't have a clearly confirmed hard stop at the bad era, but it leans heavily into Jackson's rise and peak before the 1993 allegation. So there's so much more to his life that they're not going to
I
cover with this
understand.
biopic.
I know. But so on the one hand, are we setting it up to do a sequel? Because
I would
there
hope
is so much more there, right?
Yep.
And the fact that public opinion, I think, is turned back towards him, where it was super duper away from him. Once we understand a lot of the struggle behind his childhood, and once we understand a lot of psychology, once we understand like the medical conditions and whatnot, and the fact that he was never convicted of anything.
Yep.
Like,
and from what I've been seeing online, people aren't coming after him anymore. They understand him and the Neverland Ranch and said he just wanted to help kids. You know, that's what I'm seeing now.
Now, yes. That's not what it was like when we were growing up in the in the 90s.
People hated
So,
him.
I know.
People hated him.
I know. So,
yep.
All right. We are at 712 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Quick moment to tell you about the Baton Rouge Metro Airport. If you're making your plans for LSU football season, or if you're making your plans for summertime, this applies as well. Start with flybtr.com. In fact, for LSU football season, there's been a number of flights added for home and or away games, okay? If you are traveling as a Tiger fan and you wanted to take the trip to Lexington to see LSU take on Kentucky, or if you wanted to take the trip to Knoxville to see LSU take on Tennessee, Delta has added direct flights there. They leave on Friday. They come home on Sunday. If you've got friends coming in from Clemson, Alabama, or Texas, same deals applies right there. The direct flights, like I said, head out on Friday, will return on Sunday. There is one more game on the schedule that I'm eyeing up that I hope they're eyeing up as well. But those are the 5 that have been announced. And don't forget, daily flight to Washington, D.C. comes home same day. If you have business to take care of in our nation's capital, you can get it done at flybtr.com. Would you see who that is? I'm hoping I don't have like 4 different things scheduled for this one segment. Would you see who that is?
Yes.
If that's my package, hopefully.
Talk 107.3. Yes, you sure are. We'll be coming to you in 2 minutes, okay? Yeah. Byron, what about Blanket? Remember Blanket when he helped Blanket off the freaking balcony?
Hey, would you check with him to say, are we talking about the campaign or the session? Just while I bring it back in, would you ask him, or are we talking about the campaign or the session? 7:15, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. We're about to head out to the hotline real quick in just a second to talk with State Representative Mike Echols. Before that, though, I do need to remind you that the Dreams Come True Radiothon going on right now. Talk 107.3 and the Baton Rouge Clinic are proud to bring you the 2026 Dreams Come True Radiothon. This year, First American Bank and Boudreaux's Electrical have each pledged to match your donations once we reach $2,000. So whatever amount you could spare will get us that much closer to making more dreams come true for local kids battling life-threatening illnesses. Donate now at talk1073.com. All right, we are less than a month away from Election Day, and we are checking in with candidates left and right. One of them would be Mike Echols, who's on the hotline right now, running for Congress in the 5th District. How are you, sir?
Man, we're going 100 miles an hour in every direction, Brian, but everything's going great.
So, because there's so many different directions with this district, and we'll get into that in just a second. I did want to take a quick moment to thank you for stopping by Our Lady of Mercy on Sunday. That was nice to see you on a Sunday morning.
Look, it's a beautiful church. We've been going to, of course, I'm a Catholic, and have been going to churches all up and down the I-12 corridor, but, there's several other religions we've hit too, so we've had a good time getting to worship with people all over the state.
It is a great way to bring people together, to be sure, when you talk about community and whatnot. All right, let's dive into the district real quick. You've been all over the place. You got to kind of be anchored in Baton Rouge to do your current job as well. What's that balance been like?
There is no balance with it. I mean, you're in committee, you're on the floor, you're doing that job. And then in the morning, I'm having coffee with different folks across the district. In the evening, we're going all over from Washington Parish to Morehouse Parish. So we're going 7 days a week right now, and it's high energy, but we're getting to understand all the needs of the district and the needs of the people of the district. It's been very rewarding.
What are the needs of the district? And there's going to be a follow-up to this of how do they vary based on where you are?
It's actually, there's some similarities, whether you're in, again, the Florida parishes or up in North Louisiana. Flood and infrastructure is always number one. Number two is going to be insurance and insurance reform. And then three, it's going to be crime. We know EBR has a massive crime problem, and all three of those are part of our key campaign messaging on what we can do when we go to Washington.
State Representative Mike Echols. Well, candidate in the 5th Congressional District, Mike Echols, is our guest. Take it up to the northern part of the state, though. How does that differ when it comes to priorities?
Well, priority one, we had the same floods in 2016 in North Louisiana that happened across the I-12 corridor, I-10 corridor. And so making sure we have resiliency there, making sure that we have, the vital infrastructure that we need to do the industrial things that are happening right now, too. Much like the economic boom that's happening in South Louisiana, it's happening up north. So roads and bridges are a critical and vital component of that. So all those are things that are part of our campaign, and we're out there talking to individuals on what they need to help create that flood resiliency and create, better infrastructure to move our products.
Got a big old data center from Meta coming in up in North Louisiana. How much does that come up?
That when we're talking about data centers across the state, ensuring that there's a balance between the water usage, the electrical production, and making sure consumers have, both affordable and resilient electricity. The data centers aren't just happening in North Louisiana. You got West Feliciana, you got other parishes along this corridor that are all going to receive benefit of this, but doing it right, having the balance that's there, that's fair to the consumer and really benefits those communities. And we're seeing those benefits day in, day out. Our sales tax collections in these parishes that are growing, these are up 10, 20, 30%. So the dollars are real and they're impacting our communities.
Hey, what's the potential on that end? Because I think everybody would kind of breathe a little bit, easier if we knew like how much was gonna how it affects the local economy.
Well, from an economic perspective, and I was just talking with the sheriff over in West Feliciana, the amount of money that will come in from property tax revenue, not to mention the sales tax revenue, it is literally hundreds of millions of dollars. Yeah. That'll change lives by being able to build new schools, new jails, new courthouse facilities. There's going to be a massive influx of dollars. And then it's all about the balance, though, making sure that you do it in a way that consumers will long-term have lower electricity rates and be able to preserve the things in their community, while they may only take up, 1,500 acres, you think about it, that's actually not a lot of land when you look at Louisiana.
Right.
We've got land all over the place and underutilized ag land. It's putting that back into commerce and then making sure we do it in a fair way to the consumers, and it benefits the local community.
State Representative Mike Echols is running for Congress in the 5th. On your way, let's go back to insurance real quick. On your website, you talk about lowering the cost of insurance as one of the priorities in Congress. How would you go about doing that?
One of the key things I've done in the Louisiana legislature is fighting pharmacy benefit managers who basically take your money out of your premiums and take your money out of your pocketbooks when you go out to get prescription drugs. We've worked on creating some transparency there. I'd like to take those same ideas to the federal level and do it for all 50 states. I think that, consumers at the number one, the highest cost out of their pocketbooks is insurance. And the insurance is their health insurance and their prescription drug coverage insurance. Those are things that I think I can take to DC and help the entire nation, not just Louisiana, like we did last year and have been working on for several years here in the state.
On your issues page over on michaechols.com. By the way, do you go by Mike or Michael? Because I've been calling you Mike this whole time.
Look, you can call me anything you want as long as you call me. So, but no, we cover a variety of issues. Of course, insurance being one of those, but affordability. Yep.
Yeah, let's talk about affordability, because this is actually one of my soapboxes lately. When you look on the federal level, we went into 2026 with affordability supposed to be the buzzword that voters were going to hear all year long. And we weren't a couple months into 2026 before affordability got hijacked by ICE and Iran. How, as a candidate, should you be elected, how do you get our eye back on the ball?
Well, we've done a lot of work here in the state on fraud, waste, and abuse. That was always a big component of our campaign, is making sure you go to DC, stop having these leering centers, stop having this wasteful money that we're giving away to illegals and everyone else. So that was a key component of it. Now it's transitioned to fuel prices and other basic commodities that everyday Americans, have. Our farmers, cost of fertilizer, all those things are part of this longer term concept. I think you have to balance out what's going on in the Middle East to make part of that get back right. I think that will start to happen over the next couple of weeks as we have a free flow of oil again and, all the natural resources that we need that come from all over the world. But going back to the fraud, waste, and abuse, that's a big component of our campaign. We've identified it in Louisiana. My goal is to take some of those same strategies to DC and continue to root that out, which, if you don't have as much government spending, and I know this is a wild concept, but if you lower the cost of doing business as government, then you can actually return those dollars back to the consumers. When you do that, it actually naturally affects inflation and lowers inflation.
State Representative Mike Echols is our congressional candidate. Mike Echols is our guest. The fraud and abuse part of this, it covers so many different areas. Is it should you be elected to Congress, would you be able to focus on one area? Because is this going to be like committee dependent? Is this being able to tackle fraud and abuse is like staying with, how do you dovetail that with staying in your own lane?
So my lanes have typically been healthcare, and then they've also been in whether it's SNAP reforms or unemployment reforms. I've had key bills that have identified that in Louisiana. But I would say if I was laser focused, it would be in the healthcare realm. There are hundreds of billions of dollars a year that are both wasted and stolen. And so just identifying the fraudsters that are out there doing what they're doing, and it could be a healthcare provider, it could be a scheme to take dollars out of seniors' pockets. Those are the areas that we'll be laser focused on. And I can break down into some more individual, policy points, but those are the areas where I think I've got the most steam at my back, to identify where we can find hundreds of billions of dollars and put them back in consumers' pockets.
Well, and that's one where, when I was reading up on your website, you're going to tie that back into the illegal immigration aspect of it. So it's when, you'll be able to focus on one thing, but kill two birds with one stone, if you will. Well,
there's a lot of, we'll call it cross-pollination when it comes to making the government work a little bit better.
We got Mike Echols on with us. He is running for Congress in the 5th Congressional District. Talk to me a little bit about we'll get back into a couple issues in just a minute. I want to talk about this home stretch because, like you said, you're already running 100 miles an hour, and now we're getting to the part where it's supposed to ramp up. How does it ramp up from here?
For us, we've been out there raising money, raising awareness. Recent polls show us in the top 2 right now, gaining steam on number 1. And I think you'll continue to see that happen. That's why my competitors are now out attacking me, because, they see the writing on the wall. So we're just going to keep working hard. We've been to all 21 parishes multiple times. We're going to continue to go to every single parish, try to meet every single sheriff, police officer, of course, the clerks of court, and the citizens in every single area. But we're going to be getting our message out there. We're spending a lot of money in this campaign, putting our own money where our mouth is, and making that strategic investment. And that'll get us to the runoff. And then from there, we go back at it again for another 30 plus days to close it out.
I mean, not to be too inside baseball on it, but I mean, when you're on the ballot with a Senate race, most of the oxygen in the room is going to be sucked out with the Senate race. And when you've got a Senate race this nasty, how do you find, room at the trough to make sure that next box down ballot is paid attention to?
That's where we're going out to our individual parishes and shaking hands. We know it's a big deal to talk to the voters of this district, and they need to get to know us. I'm one of the few candidates that actually lives in the district, works in the district, and employs hundreds of people within this district. That message alone, just people knowing that we actually live in the district, is a big deal, and people care about that, not to mention the issues that we're talking about today. So we're just out there trying to get in front of folks and let them know who we are. And once I think they get to know our story by going to michaelechols.com and the issues that we're fighting for, it makes us the most viable candidate.
All right, let's pivot over to, normally I start with the bio, but since you are running full speed right now, I figured we'd push that back towards the end here. For those that are as yet unfamiliar with you, who is Michael Echols?
So I'm a builder. I'm a contractor. I've been developing historic buildings for almost 20 some odd years. I've served at the local level. I fought the floods of 2016, much like everybody else has across this state, when I was a city councilman for a few years. And then I've been elected twice to the state House. I'm the majority leader for the Republicans here. And so, of course, married, wife's an architect, got a couple of beautiful little girls, and have been working just to solve problems, working in the Kiwanis, the Rotaries, the Center for Children and Families, done a lot of work in the community service sector. So just trying to solve problems at the local level, now at the state level, and then hopefully on at the federal level.
All right, now dovetail that back into, you list economic development as one of your priorities. I'm always curious as to how we can make economic development translate, other than just bringing home checks, make economic development translate from Washington, D.C. back home.
The biggest thing right now for Louisiana is to ensure energy dominance in the nation. And Louisiana is poised to stay one of the highest volume development states of energy while keeping it affordable for our citizens. So priority one, protect Louisiana's energy dominance. That will grow manufacturing. That will grow other job sets. That, of course, translates into workforce and other things, but making sure that energy dominance is numero uno. And then from there, working on growing quality jobs for our citizens, whether it's blue collar, white collar. I think there's so many opportunities for our state over and above other states because we have all the natural resources and the ports and things to get our products to the world. So that's what I'm excited about going to D.C. to bring back to our state.
I would be remiss if I didn't ask about it. I need an update on the Donald Trump bridge.
So that bill is currently over in the Senate. We're waiting on committee assignment. I hope that they'll get that assigned soon. I think it's just a tool for us to go to the president. We passed that bill, and the bill's got some caveats that if we don't get the money, the bridge isn't named after him. So I think that's reasonable. But the goal there is to get the attention of people in Washington, to tell them this is a priority economic development project, a priority consumer product, to get people to and fro across that river. We know the traffic. It's horrible here in Baton Rouge, and I want to fix that along with many other things.
I mean, along with economic development, it's an emergency evacuation project as well.
It's got so many different benefits if we can just get it done. We've talked about it for 30 years. I'm just actually coming out with a solution to try to fix the problem.
He is State Representative Mike Echols, also candidate in the 5th Congressional District. Always appreciate the time, sir. We'll talk to you soon.
Honored to be with you.
Likewise, and we will have regular updates with candidates as we're within a month now, right? So it's wide open. I ran into Rick Edmonds yesterday at the St. George press conference. I need to get him on. It's been forever since I've had Blake Miguez on. So we'll get ready for it. It'll just be an onslaught of candidate interviews. This is one of the things we put into the show, is making sure we hear from candidates regularly before an election. I think it's important to skip past the 30-second attack ads, calling people liberal. Like, okay, fine, that's great, but like, what are you really about? You can only say so much in a 30-second ad. I want a full 12 minutes to dive in. Here's news. So I don't know why, but you were in my calendar for 7:15.
Oh.
And also in my calendar for 7:15 was Baton Rouge Area Chamber. And also on the phone was a state representative. And I'm like, did I triple book? No, I just had a bunch of loose shit in my calendar. So I gotta move that. Yeah. First come, first serve. Let's go. So
We're going to talk State Park off, or do you want to talk about Baton Rouge? What do you want to do?
kill the mics, please. Cold-blooded, but fair. Chris Meyer from the Baton Rouge Area Foundation, and with us, we're going to dive in here in just a quick second. I do need to remind you, we're taking the show on the road in just a couple days. Talk 107.3 is proud to support a Baton Rouge family and an 11-year-old St. Jude patient named Kate, who's searching for a life-saving bone marrow match. Join Team Kate for a bone marrow donor drive on LSU's campus Thursday, April 23rd from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Quad and Parade Grounds, and Friday, April 24th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Free Speech Alley in the Quad. Plus, I'll be up there broadcasting live from 6 to 9 a.m. on April 23rd from the Parade Grounds. If you're 18 to 35 years old, one easy cheek swab could help save a life. If you can't make it, text Team Kate to 61474 for more information and ways that you can help, or also visit talk1073.com. Chris Meyer from the Baton Rouge Area Foundation and with us. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm great, Brian. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm very well on this end as well. I want to talk Plan Baton Rouge Phase 3 a little bit. If we have time, we'll get into the golf course, but I want to start with, we haven't talked City Park Lakes, or we haven't talked the lakes in a good while. Where are we on the project? Because I drive by them like literally daily.
Yep.
Some things look great, some things do not. And we're at one of those phases where it's hard to visibly see yesterday versus today. You're not seeing the work right now.
Look, I mean, this is one of, I think, a real point of pride for our community, that over the last decade, you've had organizations come together, namely under the leadership of the LSU Foundation, that has overseen this project to restore the LSU lakes, which 10 years ago, the Baton Rouge Area Foundation produced a report sort of demonstrating that the lakes were dying. We funded a master plan that ultimately envisioned several $100 million to restore the lakes ecologically, from a flood mitigation perspective. I mean, we were just talking about the 2016 floods.
Yeah.
I mean, all of this matters, but also to create an amenity that, we all would love to use, and to imagine, better walking and biking paths, more restaurants and other amenities around, maybe boat launches, whatever it may be. The whole point is, how do we get back to activating that lake? Right. And over the last 10 years, collectively, we've raised about $100 million. And at the end of this year, for the most part, those lakes, from a foundational perspective, kind of an ecological perspective, will be healthy again. They will be deep enough that gives us now a platform that we can build on. And so that is sort of the completion of phase 1. I think the bigger question for our community is, now what do we do that they're back restored and healthy and functioning? How can we improve upon that so we have a world-class amenity in the heart of our city? Okay,
so we're going to get there in just a quick second, but I've been meaning to ask this question every time I've talked about this. How deep is healthy?
8 feet on average was the depth that was recommended, and so that's what the kind of standard has been throughout. And really, again, kudos to LSU Foundation, to CSRS, which managed the contractors over the last several years. But on average, it's 8 feet deep across the lakes.
So, the view from the interstate is looking good. It's looking good. Once you get in, in between, weaving through them and whatnot, there's still plenty of work to be done. Are we still on time on that front?
We're still on time. I mean, what our last report, we had a committee meeting on this a few weeks ago. They are going to be substantially complete by the end of this year. There will still be some things to clean up. There will also be, there was a lot more sediment to dig out of there. And as you know, a lot of that sediment has to settle, which will take several years for it to fully kind of settle in, so that you could build other things on top of it. And a lot of the interim plannings around there, give us kind of an interim step. But I think this is where, from a community perspective, the full vision we had 10 years ago takes time. You have to both dig everything out, let it settle. And now we've got kind of a canvas that we as a community today can begin to decide, what do those lakes look like? What should be there? And furthermore, this sort of larger conversation of how should they integrate into City Park, which is also undergoing conversations about its future and what it can look like to, again, really benefit all of Baton Rouge.
Well, and there's also that transition between, you've got City Park, but you've got, they go into campus as well.
That's exactly right.
So, like, for example, there's another lake like behind Miller Hall. Is that even in this discussion, or is that just...
It is, and so
because that one's gross.
Well, and it actually is a huge element of draining, flood runoff, water runoff across the campus. So, again, if you look at these lakes just as sort of stormwater management, it is critical that these be healthy and functioning, so that we don't have another 2016. But number two, then you think about, well, then how do you also program kind of amazing amenities around that? And so, yes, I mean there are still more plans in in the works about how we connect those different amenities, how we add more landmass in places that give you a chance to think about a new restaurant or new experience that's overlooking the water, places that we can really enjoy all throughout the year. And, I promise you those things are coming, but we have to take kind of responsibility as a community to figure out what do we want on these new spaces.
Yeah, it is important. You mentioned very briefly, like the sediment's got to settle. It's because, it's when you go up there, you want like the reflection of the sunset coming off it. You don't want to be looking at a chocolate soldier. Or do they even make chocolate soldier anymore? A yoo-hoo.
I think that's the
yoo-hoo's the yeah.
But and again, I think there was for this plan, the challenge was when we started 10 years ago, you had multiple owners around the lakes. And I mean, from a public perspective,
right.
You had BRAF, you had the state, you had the city, you had LSU, and really everyone was kind of pointing fingers at each other. Nobody was really in charge. And so, one of the conversations that is having at BRAC is how do we sort of govern this complex, both the lakes and city park, for the long term? How do you get through this issue where tomorrow there still are multiple owners there that have different standards of maintenance, different standards of investment? I think our community, like a lot of other communities, ought to explore a governance model that could really unify the lakes and the park under one manager, much like City Park in New Orleans, much like Central Park in New York, Moncus Park in Lafayette. We should think about how do these assets both connect, and how are they truly excellent from an investment and caretaking perspective.
Would that be its own board or commission?
That's how it works in New Orleans and most of these across the country. Again, there are hundreds of these models in the country, but typically there's a public body that assigns a long-term lease to a nonprofit board that is representative of the community, that has is as its only responsibility to take care of, maintain, and invest in those assets. And right now, if you look at BREC, which is undergoing a lot of changes, it manages 170 plus parks in our community. I think the Lakes and City Park really should be one of one. I don't think they should be one of 175. And so that is the moment we're kind of talking about as a community, is how do we govern these so that they can get the highest level of care and investment? What
if it went in a completely different direction and made it broadened out to like a Baton Rouge Waterways Commission, to where you could pull like clearing and snagging off of DPW's plate?
I think Brian,
because if you're talking about flood mitigation and whatnot,
sure,
the usefulness of it, the economic part of it, and the economic and recreation would be a good part of it. But if you're talking about the part of it that is for keeping us from flooding, that would fold into other waterways as well.
Sure. But I think yes, and I think for this particular place, though, the quality of life amenities that are connected around there, the investments we have as a community have made, from the great museums, the Children's Museum, Knock Knock, from the Baton Rouge Gallery that's expanding. When you think about the opportunities to program the lakes differently, its connection to the university, there's something about this space, the golf course. All of this is incredibly special, historic, and deserves a level of focus and investment that we have not given it as a community. And my only point is that after you've made $100 million investment to make sure the lakes are healthy, that can't be where we stop. I think we would all be disappointed as a community if all we did was make them sort of ecologically or from a flood perspective healthy. That's not sufficient. I think we ought to invest in this area in a much larger way that attracts all of Baton Rouge to want to use it on a daily, weekly basis, that has this at the top of the list when visitors come to see us, when people come in town for games. We have the chance to create something really special, like City Park in New Orleans, or like Central Park, or like Buffalo Bayou in Houston, but we have not yet invested in it. And I think part of that is due to the way we've governed it historically.
Well, it's also due to the way that, it was swampland that was taking itself back over again. We started to see a want to put what is the little paddle wheel, like the I'm breaking on the name.
the boats. I mean, I know what you're talking-
like the self paddle, you pedal boats or whatever.
Sure.
We started to see that, and then you started seeing more, growth in the lake, and that got to be really
because it wasn't
disgusting.
maintained.
Right.
There was no standard. There was
Exactly.
nobody was in charge.
So if you
of it.
don't start with the maintenance end of it, you can't get to the quality of life end of it.
And both have to be true, and
Right.
that's the whole point of having one entity that wakes up every day thinking about what do we do to make this the most excellent place it can be.
Mhm.
And that is not one of 175. It's
Right.
one of one, and that is the discussion going on right now at this special commission. As part of BREC, we are advising BREC on how they think about this. There are public surveys, a lot of public conversation, and we have the chance to create something that is really world-class in the heart of our city that belongs to everyone.
Okay, but at the same time, though, you can't avoid the fact that it does run into the university. It does run into the city park. So are you talking about like a wet foot, dry foot thing? Like if we're on the lake, it belongs to these people. If it's on the land, it belongs
so
to
that's
these.
exactly the issue we're trying to solve, which is all those parties coming together and empowering one entity. It's been called in other communities a conservancy. Doesn't matter what we call it, but it is one entity that is assigned responsibility and authority and resources over all of those things, so that we know the standard will be one standard that I believe ought to be excellent and high, and that is possible. It is done as close as New Orleans and Lafayette, and here in the capital city, one of our greatest physical assets, I think has been underinvested in. And this is the chance, after making at least the foundational $100 million investment in the lakes, we ought to think about how to program it to a different standard.
I completely agree with that. Completely agree with that. I think the biggest detriment right now, and we're going to back this into City Park, is that when it talks about City Brooks Park, the vast majority of us don't know how much land is there.
That's right.
Like the overwhelming. It was about 2 months ago. I learned there was a pool.
There is, and you've had parts of it that have been closed off from our community, which frankly makes it less safe.
Right.
You certainly have not generated the kind of economic activity around there you need to, and you've had, again, you just think about the easy connection to the university, the easy connection now at the overpass, for example. Like there's a lot of these dots, the Expressway Park that is being contemplated, and the widening. So all of a sudden, you've got a way that this can create more access, more safety, more quality of life, if we get out of our own way. And I think that's the conversation we need to have, not a sort of, I want pickleball or I want golf. I mean, that is not the right conversation at this point. The right conversation is, how do we invest at a really high level in this place? And it's not going to happen through multiple owners. You're going to have one entity in charge.
Yeah, I understand that completely. We ran out of time. We were supposed to talk about Plan Baton Rouge.
We're talking about quality of life.
No,
right?
we are.
This all connects.
Well, no, I had one question for you on Plan Baton Rouge Phase 3, but we're gonna have to wait till the commercial to get into it. So if you're watching us on Facebook Live, we'll continue it for just a couple minutes over there. On the air though, walk me through. Well, we have 15 seconds left. Timeline wise, are we looking at a year, 2 years? What are we looking at to see definitively like this is where the lakes are headed?
I think you'll know within the end of the year. BREC's going to decide this summer on what the governance structure looks like.
He's Chris Meyer from the Baton Rouge Area Foundation. Stick around on Facebook Live. We'll continue on air. Here's your money now. All right. So my one question for you about Plan Baton Rouge Phase 3 is only tangentially connected.
Yep.
Sports Illustrated.
Yep.
$40 million into the Heidelberg Hotel. Which,
on top of what they bought it for.
Yes.
Yep.
Is this the right move at the right time to create the right momentum and the right juice? You see what I'm saying? Like, this isn't part of the old Plan Baton Rouge Phase 3. This is something that just swooped in and said, I see all the other shit happening.
Yeah,
this needs to happen too.
I wouldn't say it just swooped in. We had conversations with
because you people in your damn NDAs, none of the rest of us saw it. So it swooped. You do all the work all day long, but we don't know about it.
As we started Plan Baton Rouge 3, 18 months plus ago, we began meeting with business owners downtown, all the, hotel owners, et cetera. The previous owners, we began to talk to them about how they could fit into this. We talked about redoing the River Center, adding a headquarter hotel, which they, at first I thought, would hotels be fearful of that? They were very enthusiastic about that investment. They said, look, we are either ourselves looking to sell or we are upgrading it because we recognize there's about to be a bunch of investment here. So no, I think it's actually evidence that the plan has been already working. People want to invest, just like we were talking about City Park. When you have clear governance, people are going to want to invest in a way they're not today.
Yeah.
But it's a huge win. I mean, like, and it'll be a different concept from what I understand, but it's a one that I think will attract people here. It'll be a unique mix and gives us more of a reason to go build a, top flag headquarter hotel at the River Center or in that complex somewhere.
Follow-up question, and my penchant for Baton Rouge nostalgia.
Yeah.
Will they just call the nightclub Sports Illustrated? Because I haven't been to Sports Illustrated since the 90s. I mean, they shortened it to Sports, and then it became Reggie's. We actually have the opportunity to have
get it
Sports
back.
Illustrated back in Baton Rouge. Like, this is so far beyond my Fun Fair Park take. This is so, it's right there.
It's just a beach ball of the tee.
Yes.
We're mixing all the things.
And Shaq's involved.
I like it.
It was sports when Shaq was here.
I mean,
by the way, does he keep his sweet Lod Cook if he's invested in this hotel?
Maybe it's both.
You think?
And
You think?
that's why you can keep people. It's like
Shaq need a lot of place to stay.
Multiple Marine ones. It's like like you don't know which one he's at. All we can have. That's the point. Is we can have all these things if
old school rundown looking dollar shot night. Let's go.
That'll probably be on Tuesdays.
Yeah. Sticky floor. Was that Britney Spears over there? Like, that's what I want.
What night are you DJing?
Whatever night they need me. I'm trying to hang it up. I'm trying to be done. Can we go get DJ Grand Marquis back from the varsity?
You're getting called out.
Let's go get DJ Grand Marquis from the varsity. Retro night's coming back, y'all.
What's up with the varsity? We need more live entertainment opportunities.
We do. And
hopefully,
by the way,
hopefully they're investing there.
You know who needs to make the investment here? Todd Graves. Todd Graves is not a billionaire if our drunk asses aren't going into the original Raising Cane's because we stumbled out of the varsity. He has a responsibility.
And I think the way we are executing all these plans we've put out, that's the real testament here is we did a plan 10 years ago on the lakes. We've been following through on that. Raising $100 million to do work below the surface is not the most popular thing in the world because people want to see Ferris wheels or this thing. And it's you have to get the foundation right. And we did it. Yeah. Now we're about to do Plan Baton Rouge 3 the same way. These investments are all going to connect.
No, I know.
It's exciting. So
it is.
Just get out of our own way.
Exactly. Always
good to see you, man.
Likewise.
Yeah.
I'm
glad we have to fight about golf. I want golf, by the way. Person.
Yeah. Same. Well, I want the people who don't utilize City Park to shut the fuck up about City Park. It's Talk 107.3. When you drive around City Park, I think their voices should be when they say there's enough land to do it all, in my opinion. And by the way, Chris Meyer, stick around. Yeah, they need to get back on track. All right. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Oh, holy hell. You know what? Just do it without. I'm gonna have to go a segment without headphones. I know. I Griswolded up my headphones real good. It's 7:55 at Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Thanks again to Chris Meyer from the Baton Rouge Area Foundation for hopping on board. Good stuff right there. If you stuck around Facebook Live during the break, we covered a little bit about. We went into a little bit further depth on Plan Baton Rouge Phase 3. I had a couple downtown questions for him. All right, coming up at 8:05, Marc Ehrhardt from the Grove, Louisiana is going to be on with us, talk about the coastal lawsuits moving to federal court, which means right now we're going to hit you with this day in history.
Way back in the year 1934, the famous surgeon's photograph of the Loch Ness monster is published. Loch Ness.
You're stepping all over yourself again.
Well, I was always raised saying it like that,
Loch
but
Less,
yeah,
but it's okay.
Loch Ness
Yes.
Monster. There we go.
The
I remember growing up, I swore he was real, and it freaked me out.
because
I was
he
terrified.
is.
Well, no, but it was later proven to be a hoax.
No,
The photograph itself
no.
is a hoax.
The Loch Ness. You can't have that many photographs over that span of time, and still say
That's
it's
what
a
it
hoax.
says. But I'm
Whatever.
terrified of them. I'm terrified. All right. 1930, the Ohio Penitentiary fire kills over 300 inmates, the deadliest prison disaster in U.S. history.
Wow.
In 1930, I did not even know. That's terrible. In 1977, Broadway premiere of Annie, which becomes a long-running cultural staple. Never saw it yet. I saw The Lion King Broadway. Never saw Annie yet.
Okay.
1989, the Game Boy is released in Japan by Nintendo, launching one of the most successful handheld gaming systems ever. Pretty cool stuff. 1989.
I would like the game, like the original.
That was the big old.
I
heavy
wonder where
duty.
mine's at.
I think I still have mine somewhere.
Yeah.
Let's see. 1993, Walker, Texas Ranger, starring Chuck Norris, debuts on CBS.
No.
I remember when that came out. Everybody was loving it.
Absolutely.
Big deal. All right. 1997. I remember my mama would not let me watch this one. The premiere of the animated TV show King of the Hill debuts on Fox.
You couldn't watch King of the Hill?
No.
Boy, I tell you what, man. I know.
I don't know. My mom heard one thing that he said, and she said, "You are not watching it." And
Well,
I was a
it was
kid
by
at
the
the time.
creator of Beavis and Butthead.
Right.
So
she's like, "It's
obviously
too
it had
raunchy."
Well, I loved Beavis and Butthead, so
I still watched it though, low-key. When she wasn't looking, I was turning it on. All right, what you got?
The on the history front, nothing. We're
All
good.
right, birthdays. The only one I have is Queen Elizabeth II. I don't have anybody else who's notable enough. What do you have?
Oh wait, hang on. No. I completely forgot this. 1986, Gen X, dial it in real quick. In a much hyped special aired this day in 1986, television personality Geraldo Rivera blasted open walled-off space in a Chicago hotel that gangster Al Capone had used as his headquarters in the 1920s. That was the biggest nothing. The biggest nothing in TV history.
Wow, it just turned out to be nothing.
Oh, we were all dialed in. Everybody was fired up to watch it. 10-year-old Brian could not have been more hyped. And
you were let down. You were let down,
So bad.
down.
Yep.
Notable birthdays. Yep, that's all I got. Queen Elizabeth II.
Well, I'm
Who else
going to
you
add
got?
Andy McDowell turns 68 today. Tony Romo turns 46 today.
Ooh.
Oh, this day in 1995, Timothy McVeigh was arrested. How about that one?
Okay.
Yeah.
Notable deaths. Prince, 2016, died at 57 years old from an accidental overdose.
Okay.
Mark Twain, 1910, legendary writer of Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, passed away at 74.
Mhm.
Pope Francis passed away in 2025, first Latin American Pope. Led the
Wow.
Catholic Church for over a
It's
decade.
been a year since Francis died. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Oh,
Also, this day in 1073, Alexander II died.
Buddy Rogers. Buddy Rogers.
When or if?
Yes, sir. We'll be coming to you in 2 minutes, okay? Okay.
Boo doo 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 doo. So I'm not settled yet, and I won't be settled till the first drumstick hits the drum on Saturday night. But I finally got a hold of Cowboy Mouse people about getting all their riders in order. So I need Saturday night.
Oh boy, I might have to make a pit stop to get into the fair itself. Is there a cover charge?
No.
Show up? Okay.
Fair's wide
But
open.
everything, like if you want the food, the funnel cake, all of that obviously costs, and the rides for the kids. I might have to go.
Yep.
I hear Mercy's beer is just top notch.
It is the pinnacle. Previously, it was always the best rides, the best bar. But St. Thomas More would outpace us on the music. And we've caught up with them on the music.
In St. George's Fair, is it any good? Have you ever been to St. George's Fair?
No, because theirs is in the fall, isn't it? I think.
I think theirs is in the fall.
Oh. By the way, we bought an ad. Guarantee bought an ad with St. Alphonsus Fair, which is also this weekend. And I'm wondering how. Like, who here is at St. Alphonsus? Because why are we a paid sponsor for their fair and not Mercy, where you got my kids and Cade's kids, and I think Hunt still goes to Mercy.
I don't think we don't have anybody that goes to St. Alphonsus. Not that I think.
I don't know. Good Lord.
What is our average for dreams come true? Like, we normally just always, because Jimmy makes it sound like we don't ever make money for them.
It's enough for them to always be happy with us. So
So this is like,
this is very slow. I was just looking at the same email.
I'll make a post on that today. And if you do an interview with that kiddo, I'll get some pictures.
Yeah. Dreams Come True Radiothon. Read more. Whoop, no. Go back, you butthole. Five 570. Oh. Did I already update my card information? All right. We just increased our donation by 50%.
Huh.
So we just increased our donations by 50%.
You did it?
Yeah, put in $25.
Oh.
806 Talk 1073 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along, getting you ready for a busy 8 o'clock hour, talking education with Adonica Duggan at 8:15. We are talking mental health with Congressman Troy Carter. Save your jokes. At 8:35, little DC Current presented by LABI. Right now, though, actually, I say right now, before we go back to the hotline, we got Marc Ehrhardt from Grow Louisiana on with us. Do want to remind you that Talk 107.3 and the Baton Rouge Clinic are proud to bring you the 2026 Dreams Come True Radiothon. It's on now, y'all. We actually got started yesterday. This year, Chad's Collision, Subaru, Lewis Mechanical, Patient Plus, and River Parish Contractors have each pledged to match your donations once we reach $1,000. So whichever amount you could spare will get us that much closer to making more dreams come true for kids battling life-threatening illnesses. Donate now at talk1073.com. In fact, I just put my donation in while we're in news at the top of the hour. Bree Lynn's in as well. So we were going to set the tone by getting in before asking y'all to get in. So the Dreams Come True Radiothon, it's up and running. Y'all know we do this every year. You know, we look forward to it every year because you know what an impact it makes every single year. All right. It's not every day you see an 8-0 decision come down from the Supreme Court, but that's what we got when it came to the Chevron case. And that's going to move coastal lawsuits to the federal court. We got Marc Ehrhardt on with us now to talk about it from the Grow Louisiana Coalition. How are you, sir?
Hey, Brian, I'm doing all right. Can you hear me?
I can hear you very, very well.
Great.
Let's start off with what your takeaway was of the decision itself.
It was the biggest victory and most significant thing to happen since these coastal lawsuits were filed 12 years ago. And, you know, you said it the best. When is the last time the Supreme Court's agreed on anything unanimously? I mean, this is an 8-0 decision. There was one justice that recused himself, but I mean, 8-0. And this is the second time that the Supreme Court of the United States has had to come in and save us from ourselves on these coastal suits. The first time was a number of years ago with the East Bank Flood Authority out in New Orleans. And it was a significant victory.
And to go with the 8-0 and one recusing himself, I think it's fair to say that the one who recused himself would have made it 9-0, which, you know, he recused himself for the right reason. He did what he was supposed to do. But it would have been a full sweep either way. Marc Ehrhardt from the Grow Louisiana Coalition is on with us. Talk to me a little bit about why these suits matter to not just Louisiana as a state, but local communities as well.
Well, I mean, what it does is these coastal lawsuits, the Chevron case and the others with it, are existential problems for the future of oil and gas in Louisiana. And, you know, we've been dealing with these coastal lawsuits for 12 years. I mean, we're talking across 3 gubernatorial administrations, I think at least 3 states attorneys general, and it was brought about by a small group of trial lawyers who have tried to go from parish to parish along the southern part of the state of Louisiana, trying to convince parish councils and police juries that they need to sue the number one employer in their parish. And what it's done is it's totally frozen and hurt safe oil and gas exploration in South Louisiana. And when you talk about the oil and gas business in the state, you know, you're really talking about the work that happens in the deep water of the Gulf of America, and much less the type of activity that used to happen in South Louisiana. And one of the things that has happened over the years is we've talked about these coastal lawsuits, how bad of an idea they've been, how they've hurt the state's ultimate economy. Trial lawyers have come back and said, no, it's the price. It's the price. And now we've got 12 years where the price has gone up and down. And right now it's a good time to be in U.S. domestic oil and gas production. And the price has gone up and down. Right now the price is up. But the only thing that's happened in the state of Louisiana when it comes to production is that it's steadily gone down. The only thing that's remained steady is the fact that we are choosing the trial lawyer economy, and the trial lawyers have pursued their lawsuits. That's the only thing that stayed steady, and that's significantly hurt production in the state.
Well, you can say it's the price all day long, Mark, and part of the price is the cost of doing business. And if the cost of doing business is going to include $750 million worth of a lawsuit, then that's going to be factored in as well.
That's exactly right, because when businesses look where to invest, and when we're talking about the largest companies really operating across the globe, when they look to invest somewhere, they're looking for 3 things. The first thing they're looking for is, are there people there who can do the job? And in Louisiana, when it comes to oil and natural gas production, we are the best. Every single innovation that's happened in oil and gas exploration in the last century has had somebody from Louisiana right there. So we've got the workforce.
Right.
The second thing they're looking for is, what's the tax environment, right? It's not that these companies don't want to pay taxes. They just want to know how to predict and whether the taxes they're going to pay will be predictable.
Mm-hmm.
And we've made some progress there, right? You know, hopefully getting rid of the inventory tax and other types of things. The third thing they look at is, what's my chances I'm going to get sued? And in Louisiana, for decades, we fail in that. We are chained and captured by the tri-lawyer economy. And all you have to do is watch television for 30 seconds and understand that. I mean, it literally, we are seeing an ad about suing somebody every 30 seconds. We are awake and watching television every day.
You know, I don't think get lost in, are we unique in that regard? I mean, are we more litigious than everybody else, or are the rules just set up to where it makes it more profitable?
I don't know. I don't know about whether we're more litigious or not, right? I'm not an attorney. I do know that 3/4 of the people in the state, certainly Republican, think that the lawsuit culture in Louisiana hurts our economy. It's hurting us. So whether it's reality or perception, the perception is the way we approach and the way we embrace the lawsuit culture in Louisiana, it's hurting us. And all we have to do is look at our auto insurance, look at our homeowners insurance, and now in the coastal lawsuits, this is the trial lawyers coming for our jobs.
Right.
And so when you look at Texas doesn't have this kind of problem, because in Texas, if you violate the rules and regulations, if you're an oil and gas company and you violate the regulations and the rules and your permit, what you have to do to fix it is very clear. The rules are clear. In Louisiana, we don't have that. We don't have that because we're chained to this trial lawyer economy. We're not doing the things we need to do to tell trial lawyers, get the hell out of the way. I mean, in these coastal lawsuits, the main trial lawyer that's trying to advance this stuff, who still, even after losing, this guy lost at the U.S. Supreme Court 8-0. 8-0.
Right.
This guy's saying, well, we got to get this litigation out of the way so oil and gas can grow in Louisiana. Man, that's like me saying I'm going to divorce my wife because I love her. Like, that's ridiculous.
Well,
lawsuits don't help relationships. They kill them.
No, I'm with you, but pivoting to make sure that, well, how do I put this the right way? Get this case in front of the right venue is the right way to do this for sure, right? I mean, it was the Supreme Court ruling definitely it clarifies for me it was in the wrong venue to begin with. So walk me through what next steps are on that front. This is going to go to a federal court now. So what's next?
Well, I mean, in my opinion, the lawsuit should stop right now.
Well,
because we're 12 years into this, right, and not one penny has come from these lawsuits to go to the coast. And that's what was sold to all these parishes. Oh, there's going to be all this money for the coast, all this money for the coast. You're going to get a bunch of money, everybody. And not one penny has come after 12 years. The Attorney General of Louisiana, Liz Murrill, can stop this. She can stop it. It's time for her and our elected officials to say, after 12 years, enough's enough. Enough's enough. It didn't work. It's time to move forward. That's my opinion. The lawsuits have to stop. Now, as it moves forward from a legal standpoint, there's a whole new test that the Supreme Court of the United States has put on these cases on where they should be even in court. So I'm not an expert on the legal process, but it seems to me that they're back at square one. Square one after 12 years, Brian.
Right. Well, square one, I mean, it is fair to say we now have a definitive finish line, though, correct?
Well, I mean, we have I don't think so. I mean, we have a finish line at least in where if you're going to go to trial,
right,
you got to, the court that it's got to be in.
Right.
And we're talking about that. I mean, that's just like saying, okay, where are we going to go? Where are we going to go play this game? Oh, after 12 years, we figured out the field.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
That's fair. No, that's a good analogy right there. We're talking with Marc Ehrhardt from the Grow Louisiana Coalition about some of the impacts of the Supreme Court decision on the coastal lawsuits. Marc, I keep getting hung up on this one, and tell me if you can walk me through it or get me off the ledge on this one. The fact that it's taken this much, does that tell you something about the people that we are? That, like, if I'm a company and I'm looking to invest, yes, it's a plus that the Supreme Court ruled the way they ruled, but is there something to the fact that they came up at all? I mean, you see where I'm going with that?
I mean, in that this remains I want to make sure I'm hearing this right. You mean in that after 12 years, this remains an issue that people in the state are having to deal with?
Well,
companies.
Yes, let me rephrase it. If I'm a company and I say I'll get the right answer in 12 years, I mean, does this set us up for the next time something like this comes up? Hopefully, we can get to it sooner.
Well, I mean, my hope is that we don't, for industries and things that can grow in the state, like you're talking about petrochemical, you're talking about LNG, you're talking about anything, man. You could talk about all kinds of industries that we want to try and grow in the state. My hope is that they can come to the state ultimately and know they're not going to be subject to this garbage.
Right.
I mean, that's really the deal. Is what the longer we pursue these coastal lawsuits, the larger and louder the message is going to be. If you come to Louisiana with our encouragement and we permit the work for you to do here, just wait, because in about 10 to 20 years, we're going to sue you for it. That's the message we're sending right now. And by stopping the lawsuits, I think we send a massive message that's saying, hey, businesses who can be here, who don't know they want to be here yet, we're choosing the real economy over the trial lawyer one. We are open for business.
Last one before I get you out of,
good business.
Last one before I get you out of here, and it's broadening out the lens a little bit. Have we done enough in the legislature? Have we done enough to adjust our business climate to make sure that there is no next round? Have we done enough to, the coastal lawsuits were in parameters of a business climate that started 12 years ago? Have we changed the game to better fit business since then?
I think that's a mixed bag.
Okay.
I think that the governor and the legislature over the last couple of years have made great strides in improving the business climate in the state. The part where we consistently get hung up is when trial lawyers get involved. And the track record in the legislature is pretty clear on that. So there's all these things that are pro-business over here that are getting done and pushed forward, which I think is great. It's great for the future of the state. At the same time, what hangs out there, that Grim Reaper in the background, are trial lawyers who constantly who work the legislature constantly to protect their own interests. And I think we have not solved that problem yet.
In the meanwhile, I'll take the win where we can get it. He is Marc Ehrhardt with the Grow Louisiana Coalition. Greatly appreciate a couple minutes this morning.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks for everything you're doing too.
Always. We'll talk to you soon. We are way long right here. We got Adonica Duggan coming up in just a little bit. Need to remind you about 180pros, 180pros.com. Not your IT provider, your IT partner. Learn more at 180pros.com or call them 225-330-2200. And I love giving you the phone number because it's 225. And if it's 225, they're local. It's not 318. It's not 3837. It's not 985. It's not 504. It's not, I don't even remember what the new area code is up north. But it's 225, which means that if something's going wrong with your network, you've got someone here who can respond to you today. Same day response time, provided you call within business hours. Same day response time, they'll get you out there. Of course, 180 Pros has all the latest with cybersecurity, all the latest tech to keep you up and running. But it's that partnership that makes all the difference. Learn more at 180pros.com. Oh, holy hell. Oh. Dookie shoes. All right, I've got 3 more segments, and 5 live reads. Killing it. I suck. I've got to find a better way to manage the 6 o'clock hour, because every single day there's 5 live reads in the 6 o'clock hour.
Tomorrow or Thursday to get an update on Kelly, and we can call her by phone, and Jennifer, because she's back in the hospital again. She's not doing good. She's having
Who?
Your dreams come true patient from last week.
She's back in the hospital again? Like from last week to this week?
She went down. She has I keep up with mom. She had jaundice real bad, and that's what triggered mom to bring her in. And they're still trying to figure out what's going on. But if we can get mom in, and I kind of tipped her off so she's aware, but you tell me what time works, and we can phone her.
Sure. Um,
And that can drive donations. We can use it.
yeah. Yeah, I don't have a Foodie Friday lined up yet, though. I'm still working on that. So I might go. Do we want to do and just do a Dreams Come True hour?
What do you want to do for the 8 o'clock hour on Friday? Because we already have our first one coming in.
Yeah.
Let me tell Mom, you want her to go later in the hour?
And yeah, get Mom in there. We'll get Becky in here. Like,
let me work with Mom. Because I doubt she'll be able to come.
I mean, maybe not the full hour, but like, still do like. Let me see what I've got on the books already for Friday. But definitely that last half hour, we could probably squeeze in 3 conversations in half an hour. On Friday? Perfect. And then we could couple Mom with the pre-recorded.
If we can get Juju, and he doesn't have to run. I don't know if it's a girl or a boy. If he doesn't have to run out to school today, we can save that recording for Friday.
Abby has a friend named Juju.
Do you think that's Abby's friend?
No, I don't. I'm just saying there's Juju can be a girl's name for sure. Short for Jules or Juliana. My daughter's friend Juliana. She used to say Juju was her like alter ego when she's like in the zone in basketball. When she's being all aggressive in basketball. So she comes off the court one game. She's like, was that Juju? And I didn't realize. Was that Juju? And I said, no. I feel like you only gave me one Jew tonight. I was like, wow, that sounded awful. That sounded awful out loud. I'm never saying that again. It's amazing how like that changes the meaning of the word, right? Oh my word. 821 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We ran long with Marc Ehrhardt right there. And I apologize to Adonica Duggan from the Baton Rouge Alliance for Students who patiently waited to get on with us. How are you this morning, Adonica?
I'm doing great. No apologies necessary.
Well, glad to have you on. We had a lot to talk about today. Can we start off in the legislative session with what you're eyeing up?
Yeah, that actually is very timely right now because we're starting testing season. And one of the bills that we are very concerned about is HB 262 right now that eliminates the requirement for LEAP passage as a high school graduation requirement.
Does it replace it with something?
Well, it just eliminates that hurdle. So certainly there's all the other graduation requirements that still remain, but it does eliminate LEAP as a requirement for high school graduation. And I think that leads to this conversation around standardized testing that we are, in the season of right now, and parents are really stressed about.
Walk me through a little bit of why it would be detrimental to us to lose the standardized testing.
Yeah, I think, as my dad says, the surest God made apples. The second we start to see progress in something, we forget how we got there. And standardized testing is certainly one of those things, right? Mm-hmm. And so accountability is really important to the progress that we are seeing in the state. We are seeing improvement in performance for the third year in district school performance scores. And standardized testing is a big part of that. If we don't measure things, then we don't know that we're headed in the right direction. And while it creates a level of stress for our educators and our young people, it's certainly something that is an important indicator to us on the performance of schools and how that we're doing the things that we want for kids to learn by the end of a grade level.
What was the genesis of this bill? What brought it up? Who brought it up?
I think we're seeing this weird retreat, from standardized testing, because it is one of those things that people on both extremes of, each party have different levels of criticism about. So there are people who are worried about the impact of teaching to the test and how that impacts teacher morale. And then there are people who say that testing isn't an accurate measure of all of the things that we want kids to know by the end of a grade level. And so we put too much emphasis on these scores. And I think that, certainly there are criticisms to be had about the instruments that we use and whether or not they are accurately reflecting all of the things that we want for young people in schools. But you have to go back to a time before testing in this state. And the time before testing was kind of the norm and recognize that we got to this place because we really didn't have an apples to apples comparison about how kids were doing. You know, we remember those days where we had stories of valedictorians in some of our rural parishes who weren't able to read or write.
Right.
And that you know, sparked this nationwide conversation about how do we measure what we want kids to know by the end of a grade level, and how are we sure that a kid in a rural parish in Louisiana is learning the same things by the end of the 4th grade as a kid in Massachusetts. And so we had this move towards standardized testing. And while those instruments are certainly imperfect, they provide us with a good comparison. And Louisiana is improving in that comparison.
Yeah, I mean, it's a matter of, did it stick? You know, it's everybody learns in a different way, or a lot of people learn in different ways. Some of us are a little bit less, we're not as strong at turning in homework on time, but we do have good comprehension skills, so we can test better, and that would actually help benefit us on the back end. And on the flip side is, if you're only getting things done, you can talk about teaching to the test, Adonica, the opposite is true as well. If you want to talk about just having short-term retention to pass your current assignment and then move on, and then all of a sudden you're like a goldfish in a whole new world again, what good did it do if it didn't stick?
You know, I'm often interested when I hear people talk about teaching to a test, because if we believe that we are creating tests that are measures of what we have agreed the benchmarks are for what we want kids to know by the end of a grade. Mm-hmm. So let's say we want to make sure that every 4th grader is reading at this level by the end of the 4th grade. Right. If we have a test that measures that, what is the challenge in teaching the skills that are necessary? Now, if we don't believe that the test is measuring what we have agreed are the benchmarks that we want for kids, then we need to have a different conversation about the instrument. But if the instrument is constructed correctly, and you know, there's a lot of research, there's millions and millions of dollars that are put into making sure that they are accurately reflecting the state standards for what we've said we want kids to know, then, you know, we need to have a common assessment that says, yes, this kid has mastered the things that we all agreed were the things that they need to master before they move on to the next grade.
We're talking with Adonica Duggan with the Baton Rouge Alliance for Students. I got to ask you, and I think you may have alluded to this a little earlier, but around the rest of the country, are we looking at getting, are others looking at getting away from standardized tests as well?
You know, education is very cyclical, and so I think the pendulum swings in one direction, in my mind, a little bit too hard, and then we swing back and overcorrect in the other direction a little too hard, and so I think that we are in this moment where people are having a lot of questions about the tools that we're using and what we believe that the purpose of an education is, and so we start to see people say, well, what about, you know, all of these other things that are missed? And I certainly think that it doesn't have to be an either or. So we don't need to sacrifice the fact that we want to have strong arts programming and we want to have a rich and diverse learning experience for the fact that we want kids to have a baseline expectation of what we want them to know by the end of a grade. And so we see both on folks who are on the end of the right and on the end of the left kind of having this convergence. And there's a little bit of a movement toward away from testing in a way that we haven't seen in the country in a minute.
I apologize if I'm out of line with this question, but do we know what Dr. Bromley thinks? What does our superintendent want?
Yeah, well, I can't speak for Dr. Bromley, but I do think that, you know, but I do think that he has always been a strong proponent of making sure that we have an accountability system that accurately reflects what schools are doing and how they are moving learners. And so I think that, you know, it would be consistent with his track record to say, you know, we need to have something that tells us the information that policymakers need to be able to make decisions about where to pour more resources, whether we need more high dosage tutoring, whether we need more interventions and supports. And I think a lot of the gains that we've been seeing over the years in reading have a lot to do with having those, you know, shining a spotlight on the places where we're not getting it right and allowing us to direct resources and support. And that's a really important component of having a strong testing and accountability system.
No, absolutely. I mean, and it's, you know, statewide, it's been back to basics, and part of basics is having that benchmark. I mean, it's like I said, you said you can't speak for Dr. Bromley, neither can I, but that would have been my takeaway as well. We'll get about a minute left with Adonica Duggan from the Baton Rouge Alliance for Students. When it comes to this bill, is this, well, a likelihood that it gets anywhere?
I think that lawmakers understand the importance of maintaining the progress that we've had in Louisiana education, and I'm hopeful that we will not retreat. And so I think that we shouldn't worry too much, but I definitely think that is a signal to us that we have to pay attention to accountability, that we can't assume that, everybody understands the components of how we are making the gains and making sure that, we tend the progress effectively.
I asked you about Dr. Brumley, but what about application on a local level? How are we looking there?
It's testing season, and I think that it's important for parents and families to understand that they shouldn't be creating this environment of fear. This is a test that it should be about all the things that your student has learned up until this point. And so I know that it becomes easy to think of the test as kind of, this scary thing. And I think it's really important that parents communicate that it's just one important tool in making sure that you're getting what you need in the classroom.
And look, I know I'm keeping you long here, but we took too long to get on in the first place.
No
But
worries.
in my mind, it should be approached the same day as game day. I would even go so far as to say there should be a pep rally beforehand. This should be excitement. Yeah. This should be a rally in and of itself. This should be like, you get the chance to show off here. Drop the anxiety and build your confidence.
Yeah, we see a lot of great schools approaching it in that way. And I think it is something this is an opportunity to show what you've learned.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity to show that you have mastered the content, and you should see this as like you've practiced all year, right? We have practiced, we've learned the things, we've done the hard work, and now this is an opportunity to show what you know.
Absolutely. In the meanwhile, she's Adonica Duggan with the Baton Rouge Alliance for Students. Thank you so much for hopping on today.
Absolutely. Have a great one.
You too. Quick break for local news, traffic, weather. Congressman Troy Carter's next. 9:05.
We'll come up, and Jennifer says absolutely. She's like, I'll call in Friday. Friday is 4:08.
Let me go run and put on the board.
Ah, shit!
What'd you do?
I knocked my pencil down. I'm gonna crawl my ass under here. No hands. To Adonica Duggan from the Baton Rouge Alliance. The roll is right along. We ran along with Marc Ehrhardt right there. And I apologize to Adonica Duggan from the Baton Rouge. To Adonica Duggan. Adonica Duggan.
That has also from all 8 children. 73 Baton Rouge newsroom.
Quick break for news, local news, traffic.
Have a great one.
Now let's check on your drive from the Talk 107.3 Traffic Center.
Talk 107.3. Hey, yes, sir. We'll be coming to you in probably, I would say 2 minutes, but more like 1. All right. Thank you, Troy. Okay.
I'm going to bang out my NeuroJust before this because NeuroJust is actually going to tie into what we're talking about. Just because we're talking about mental health in general. Yeah.
Jimmy's like, he doesn't want to have interviews nonstop, making it just sad fest on Tiger, and I get it from a programming standpoint, but that's the only thing that works, and I did St. Jude Radio time. You want to beat people over the head with it.
Mm-hmm.
And Jimmy's like, we're not doing that on Tiger. He's like, no long form interviews, no making people cry. I'm like, I get it, but I don't know. I'll just work with him.
Yeah. But did I delete the press release? Because it was like.
What press release? I didn't get anything.
On the mental health bill. For Congressman Carter. I need it. And there it is. Okay, I didn't scroll back far enough. It was last month. Oh, cooler, Newt. I'm low rent Harry Potter. .837 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Before we dive into legally served us tomorrow. I was about to tee that up. Before we dive into DC Current, want to remind you about the folks over at NeuroJust. NeuroJust.com is the website. NEUROJUST. NeuroJust.com. If you or someone you know is battling with anxiety or depression and has been treatment resistant, let me introduce you to TMS therapy. It stands for transcranial magnetic stimulation. It targets areas of the brain that affect mood, and they show results. Oh boy, they show results. I think of it like physical therapy for your brain. So if you don't like the prescription meds, then give this a look. If you don't like to sit down talk about therapy, then give this a look. Now, by all means, the guys at NeuroJust will tell you if what you're doing is working for you, stick with it. Stay with it. Be on the path towards better mental health. Oh, by the way, with NeuroJust, insurance will pick up the tab as well. So NEUROJUST.com, which actually kind of dovetails with what we're about to talk about in this installment of DC Current presented by LABI. Been waiting to talk about this for some time, but with so many other issues, I didn't want to just back burner it. We're giving it a full segment here. Congressman Troy Carter joins us. He has introduced H.R. 7787, the Mental Health Workforce Act. Congressman Carter, welcome back. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Brian. Thank you so much. What a perfect segue.
Thank you.
As you did the last intro on, services that will aid people as they address the needs of anxiety, depression, and other issues that should not be taken lightly, nor should people assume that they're insurmountable, because they aren't. And you're not alone out there. If you're suffering with any of these issues, most Americans are in some shape, form, or fashion.
Talk to me a little bit about what this act does. What does it address specifically?
So, first of all, I'm very, very proud that this is, once again, a bipartisan effort that is led by me, Michael Turner, Republican of Ohio, Richard McCormick, a Republican from Georgia, and Yvette Clark, a Democrat from New York. And the four of us have joined together to create the Mental Health Workforce Act. The beauty of what this does is it's very simple. It addresses the mental health workforce shortage and the urgent need for diversity among mental health providers in the United States. As you may be aware, mental health is and the issues surrounding mental health are on the upswing. It's a major, major epidemic in our community, yet we have limited resources, particularly in the areas of minority communities. This bill will help raise the number of mental health providers so we can have people that are familiar in like communities, minorities being one of the areas that we have the greatest shortage. Numerous barriers that cause a block of access to mental health care treatment. We know that the stigma associated with mental health, general distrust of healthcare institutions, and the lack of health insurance. This bill begins to address these systemic inequities. The bill will incentivize students at historically Black colleges and universities and minority serving institutions, MSIs, to pursue careers in mental health care, providing and offering student loan forgiveness in exchange for 5 years of service in a rural or community where healthcare providers are in dire need. So it's hitting multiple fronts. One, it is getting more people to go into the study, providing an incentive that if you do and you agree to practice for at least 5 years in a high-risk area, you can have debt forgiveness. It's a win-win all the way around. And I'm proud that it's bipartisan, because what this demonstrates is that issues of mental health are not relegated to party. They're not relegated to race. They're not even relegated to zip code. They're everywhere in our country, and this gives us an opportunity to take a real hard swing at addressing the drastic needs that are out there, coupled with, and we've talked about this on other segments with you, the fully functioning and funded 988 hotline, which gives individuals an opportunity to 3 a.m. anytime, 24/7, when you're contemplating suicide or just need someone to talk to about resources. You can dial 988 and have access to trained professionals who will not ask your name unless you want to give it to them. They will not trace your call. It's totally confidential and anonymous, but they offer those directive and comforting words at a time when people might be literally at the brink of harming themselves or someone else. So the Mental Health Care Workforce Act, in short, provides an opportunity to get competent professionals to go into the space and then to practice in areas where we have the greatest need, a huge need in our country right now.
Congressman Troy Carter is our guest, DC Current, presented by the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. Congressman, why is there a shortage of mental health avenues in minority communities? Is the stigma greater in minority communities? Because I know, like nationwide, or probably worldwide, but nationwide, we've had that stigma, and like just man to man, there's been a, speaking on behalf of men, there's been a man up mentality for far too long. Just man up, just do it. Is that stigma greater in minority communities?
Yeah, yes, it is. It's horrible everywhere, but it's particularly bad in minority communities. Think about it. Think about what you and I were told growing up as little boys. Big boys don't cry. Suck it up. You can handle it. Come on, man. Push through. And so as a result of that, little boys grew up with men, and we learned to hide our emotions and to not show those things that bother us. Well, those things that bother us, they go unchecked, become bigger problems that impact our marriages, impact our jobs, impact our everyday existence and how we interact with other people. And if they go unchecked, they become real problems. But because we seem to think that adage of big boys don't cry, suck it up, you can handle it mentality, it gets worse. So a part of this exercise is to let people know, to erase the stigma associated with needing a little boost from time to time, needing someone to talk to. When I was a kid, my grandmother would say, "What's wrong, Crouere? Are you feeling blue?" That was her way of saying, you feel a little blue, you're a little down. We don't ask our kids that anymore. We ask them if they're hungry, we ask them how they did in school. but we don't ask them about their mental health.
Right.
And as a result of that, and the reason we have such an epidemic now is because the federal government stopped investing money in mental health. And when you stop investing money in mental health, people stop studying the field because there's no opportunity to make a living on it. Now we're trying to reverse the course, invest money back in mental health in the classrooms and schools, provide opportunities through various agencies to provide help for people who are in need. Our veterans, one of the fastest growing areas where we see professionals that are suffering with mental health on street corners, and you look at them and think, "Oh, get a job, you bum," when in fact, that sip of wine or that smoke of a joint oftentimes is the only opportunity they have to silence the voices in their head, absence of being seen by a professional.
Congressman Troy Carter, our guest. We're talking about mental health and this mental health workforce act that he has got out in front of Congress right now, bipartisan act. Congressman, you mentioned the feeling blue part of this, and how much of our misconceptions on mental health are just based in like it's what we've learned thus far? Because if you mentioned feeling blue, like that's not a direct correlation to depression. Whereas, like, and I would imagine how many students at an HBCU are first generation college students, and how much anxiety comes with that. And when that anxiety gets, like it's a lot of pressure to live up to, right? To move our family trees forward. How much anxiety builds up into tearing down your walls to exhaustion, and that exhaustion leads to the hopelessness.
Absolutely, and the issues that life brings at you. Period.
Right.
The issues of social media that paints a picture that everyone's perfect but you. The peer pressures. How you're going to pay tuition, how you're going to eat. The systemic issues of isms that happen in our community, regardless of what ism touches you. It puts additional pressure on individuals. And because we have this notion that, it'll just go away. Well, a headache doesn't just go away. Right. Diabetes just doesn't go away. Blood pressure doesn't just go away. You exercise your diet and you modify your lifestyle. And as a result of doing that, you get better. So why is it that you think you should see a doctor when you have high blood pressure, diabetes, or some other chronic illness, and you get medicine, you get treatment, you get a new plan, and you get better? But with mental health, we think, it's no different. When you have depression, anxiety, or other issues of that need mental attention, I think the word mental scares people off because in some way they think, someone's going to think I'm crazy. No, it doesn't mean you're crazy. It means that you may have an imbalance that needs to be adjusted, just like you do if you have gout and you overproduce uric acid. So now we have to ratchet back the production of uric acid so you don't get gout. Mental health is the exact same way, but because the stigma has been so great, people fall into that, there's nothing wrong with me, I'm just fine. Well, maybe that's true, but you can use a little maintenance. And that's what it is, a little maintenance.
He is Congressman Troy Carter. We do DC Carts about this time every week. Congressman Carter, thank you for walking down this path with me. I'm glad we dedicated the whole segment to it.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Have a fantastic week.
You do the same. Here's your money now. I ain't barely scratched the surface. We didn't talk about single parent homes. Well, look, it's when you walk down that path of quote man up, that path is a lot different when there's a man there to help you man up. You're not just lost in the woods. Right. Single mothers are heroes, but they can't do it all. And there's right. But I didn't want to open that up because I didn't want to get into all kinds of other political sidesteps that go along with it. I know. Because it's hard not to walk down the path and not start to point blame. I'm not worried about that. I'm more worried about like When you start pointing blame around, now you lose track of the focus of the discussion, which is on the solving. It's going to turn into a whole Charlie Kirk thing. Throw out the LRN cuts. Go back to Yates 2 and Yates 4. Yates 2, 4, and or St. George 2, 4, and 5. Oh. The music in that spot sounds like the Chainsmokers at the beginning. It pivots to where it gets away from it, but at the beginning it's like, hey, I was doing just fine before I met you. I saw a TikTok made me fall out laughing the other day. Speaking of Chainsmokers, you know the song Closer, you know. The TikTok was, meanwhile, at an apartment in Boulder, and the guy opens the door and goes, hey, where's my mattress? The lyric of the song says, pull the sheets right off the corner of the mattress that you stole from your roommate back in Boulder. So it says, meanwhile, back in Boulder, where's my mattress? So stupid. Such a deep cut. Yeah, I was just singing it. I drink too much and that's an issue, but I'm okay. Hey, tell your friends it was nice to meet them, but I hope I never see them again. I know it breaks your heart. Moved to the city in a broke down car and 4 years no calls, and now you're looking pretty in a hotel bar, and I can't stop. One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com, 225-400-8005 is the phone number. Onebathandclosets.com is the website. If you did not build your own home, your bathroom was not built for you. It was built for someone else. Could be for you. Could be for you if you want to move from that old school tub to a walk-in shower. If you want to move to having all the lighting in the world in the bathroom, which is phenomenal, by the way. And by the way, this isn't just about the bathroom, one bath and closets. Closets is a part of this equation as well. David Duvall and his team, they do a phenomenal job of making sure that they build out the closet or bathroom that you're looking for, the closet or bathroom of your dreams. Christian and I went at the end of last year. We called David. We had him out to redo the master bath. Could not have been more pleased with the results. A total transformation of the master bath in our house. We moved to 2 vanities. We got all the lighting. We put we got the heater back in. Got the shower, the walk-in shower. The tile floors is fantastic. Learn more at onebathandclosets.com. Make your bathroom yours. Onebathandclosets.com. We were going to cover a different topic here, but I want to pivot to revisit yesterday. Out at City Club, there was a press conference for the folks in St. George. Coming up on your May ballot will be amendment number 2 of the 5 constitutional amendments. Amendment number 2 would form a independent school district for St. George. There are 5 cities in Baton Rouge, East Baton Rouge Parish, should say. 5 cities in East Baton Rouge Parish. Baker, Zachary, Central, Baton Rouge, and now St. George. 4 of those 5 have school districts. St. George is looking to do their own there. One of the misconceptions about the folks in St. George is that it's just a bunch of rich white kids looking to pull their kids out of school to go to school with other rich white kids. Dustin Yates, the mayor of St. George, addressed that misinformation at yesterday's press conference.
They also continue to peddle the tired and false narrative that our district will lack diversity. Let me be straightforward and set the record straight now. The St. George school system, day one, will be a majority-minority district. Those are the demographical facts. Anyone claiming otherwise is intentionally trying to divide our community and our parish.
He was asked further on in the press conference, give me numbers. What's the breakdown look like?
The exact numbers are 47% African-American, 31% white, 18% Hispanic, 4% Asian, which makes us a 70% minority district day one.
All right, you got the numbers. By the way, it does take a statewide election to change a local school district. And I asked him after the press conference was over, how do you get over the apathy when you've got so many constitutional amendments on every ballot you go into?
So what I would tell people is that this has been an effort that's been going on for 15 years in a particular part of the state that may not have any effect on them whatsoever. I would certainly appreciate their standing with us as local citizens, trying to gain local control of our local government and local school system, as we would with anybody else in the state.
I mean, if I'm St. George, I'm out on the road, y'all. I'm out on the road constantly. Everybody in East, I think it's fair to say everybody in East Baton Rouge Parish over the last 15 years has developed an opinion. I'm hitting every city around where the opinions might not be fully developed. We're done. Moon's next. All right, guys, we got to get out of here. We're going to work on some dreams come true stuff. Please go donate if you can. I'm gonna ask you all week long and probably all next week too. We need to help them out with dreams come true. So we'll see you all tomorrow.